Chapter 1985. Where are you taking me? Yun Jian watched as Si carried her in his arms and walked over the rocks towards the rocky area. She reached out a hand and hooked it around his neck like a little girl. Close your eyes. Si's thin lips moved. At this moment, he was right next to Yun Jian's ear as he whispered this very softly. Hearing Si's voice, Yun Jian felt a moment of numbness. Her body trembled slightly from this numbness. Then, she hugged him with both hands and closed her eyes, allowing him to carry her as they walked. To be honest, this was the first time Yun Jian had been carried in a princess carry like this. She couldn't help but feel a trace of anticipation in her heart that she didn't know where it came from. Where was he going to take her? By the beach, the barbecue rack and parasols were already in place. Qin Yiru was skewering barbecue skewers at this moment. The children wanted to come to the beach to play, so she and Ge Junjian brought the children to the beach to play. At this moment, other than Ge Junjian and Qin Yiru, Adam and Lan Su were also sitting under the parasols by the beach. Lan Su carried the child. Sometimes, the child was especially naughty. His little legs would kick around uncontrollably. The child's body was soft, so Lan Su had to constantly move around to carry the child. There was a technique to carrying a child. Some people carried a child like they were carrying a little chick. The child was also very uncomfortable being carried. The way Lan Su carried the child was taught by Qin Yiru. However, the child was especially naughty these 2 days and kept moving around. At this moment, he was nestled in Lan Su's arms and kept kicking around. Lan Su carried the child. Although the child was already more than a year old, she still felt that she wasn't used to taking care of a child. I'll carry this little brat. You rest for a while. Adam finished moving the barbecue equipment and came over to take the mischievous Zhou Yiran from Lan Su's arms. Zhou Yiran was the name of Adam and Lan Su's child. He was already over a year old this year, and he was fair and chubby. Adam wanted to take the child from Lan Su's arms. Zhou Yiran, this little fellow, used all his strength to hold onto the corner of Lan Su's clothes, unwilling to let his father carry him. When Adam saw that his child was grabbing the corner of Lan Su's clothes, he suddenly felt a burst of jealousy. Once he thought about how this stinking brat had actually grown up drinking his wife's milk, Adam could bear to do it. He pulled away the little fellow's hand that was grabbing onto Lan Su's clothes and forcefully carried the crying little fellow from Lan Su's embrace. Be careful, you'll hurt him. When Lan Su saw this, he became anxious. He's the one who did it, Adam said with jealousy. If this little guy wasn't his son, Adam would have already flung him to the ground. How can you treat little Iran like this? Don't carry the child anymore. Give him back to me. When Lan Su saw this, she felt a burst of heartache and reached out to take the child back from Adam. If you don't want me to treat him like this, you have to promise me one thing. Adam lightly patted the little fellows, and suddenly said this. At this moment, Qin Yiru and Ge Junjian were happily standing together and talking. They skewered barbecue skewers one by one, so they didn't notice Adam and Lan Su. Taking advantage of the moment when Qin Yiru and Ge Junjian weren't paying attention, Adam suddenly stuck his head close to Lan Su's ear and whispered, "Tonight, let me drink the milk you feed this stinking brat, then I won't treat him like this." When Lan Su heard this, his face instantly turned red. Yun Jian and Si were unaware of what was going on here. Si had already carried Yun Jian into the rocky area. No one walked by the edge of the rocky area. Once they entered the area, even if someone were to cruise back and forth on the sea on a yacht, they would not be able to see the blind spots behind the large rocks. Si carried Yun Jian to a few spots in the rocky area that were covered by rocks. There was no one around. He pressed Yun Jian against a large rock and bit Yun Jian's ear softly. "Shout, Jian, you can open your eyes now." Just as Yun Jian opened her eyes, she felt Si pressing her against a rock in an embarrassing position. Her legs were lifted. Having spent 2 years with Si in the sacred spring, how could Yun Jian not know what Si was thinking right now? She pushed Si. "What are you doing? Someone will come here any time." However, she felt Si flip her over and was already busy. "I've checked. There's no one around. Don't you want it, Xiao Jian?" As he spoke, Chapter 1986. It was a sunny afternoon, in broad daylight, in the blind spot of the rock, where no one could see. C.E. did something shameful to Yunjian. When C.E. did that to Yunjian, neither of them took off their clothes. Because they were outdoors and the beach was nearby, Yunjian didn't dare scream. She could only hold on to C.E.'s clothes tightly and let C.E. do whatever he wanted to her. She had to admit that C.E. had become more and more daring ever since they started having sex 2 years ago. He actually dared to pull her to the beach. In the end, C.E. couldn't control himself and directly sent his savings into her body. Yunjian hurriedly pushed him away. Don't get pregnant. It was too late. It was already over. In the past 2 years in the Holy Spring, C.E. had always wanted to do shameful things to her. However, there were no safety measures in the Holy Spring, so he had always held back and backed out at the last moment. However, at this moment, the two of them couldn't control themselves anymore. If you get pregnant, give birth to it. After C.E. helped Yunjian tidy up her clothes, he hugged Yunjian, who was blushing and didn't dare to look at him. Yunjian had indeed enjoyed it just now. Although it was very shameful, C.E. had always been the one in control. He was the one who wanted to do it. When she thought of this, Yunjian's shame disappeared. Pushing C.E., Yunjian said, "My legs are wobbly. I'll carry you back." With that, C.E. was about to carry Yunjian horizontally. Don't go back now. Yunjian pushed C.E. a few times. After doing such a shameful thing in the rock field near the beach, Yunjian didn't dare to see Qin Yiru and the others. She was afraid that they would find out that she and C.E. had done something so shameful outside. "Xiao Jian, are you shy?" C.E. brushed Yunjian's hair with a smile and whispered in her ear. C.E. saw that Yunjian's earlobes blushed again when she heard what he said. His smile widened at the sight. That was right. Adam already had a child. How could he fall behind? Now that his Xiao Jian was an adult, C.E. did it on purpose just now. That was the only way his Xiao Jian could get pregnant with his child, then give birth to it. Poor Yunjian had no idea of C.E.'s naughty thoughts. At the same time, Qin Yiru and Gujunjian had started a charcoal fire in the barbecue rack and placed the skewers on it. The skewers they brought this time included lamb skewers, sausages, chicken wings, tofu, and green beans. Gujunjian placed the skewers on the barbecue rack and smeared a layer of oil on them. There was a crackle of oil on the skewers, followed by a puff of smoke that carried the fragrant scent of barbecue. Smells good, smells good. Zhou Ran, who smelled the aroma, began tapping his hands and legs alternately as he uttered words that were not pronounced properly. Zhou Ran, the little fellow, could now speak some simple words. He could also call his parents. He was more than a year old now and could chew finer foods, but his food source was still milk. When there was no milk, he would drink milk powder that was already soaked. Let Xiao Iran eat the skewers when they're done. Be good, Xiao Iran. Qin Yiru smiled at the child and told him in a coaxing tone. There was no telling if the little guy understood what she said, but he grinned suddenly, his arms and legs bouncing up and down even more energetically. When the skewers were almost done, Yunjian and C.E. came back as well. Gunyinji had also come back with Xiao Yunju and the girls. She did not know where Yun-E had brought Qin-Yu, but when they returned, Qin-Yu was in high spirits. Yunjian's legs were wobbly. "Sister Jian, where did you guys go just now? We couldn't find you guys." Qin-Yu skipped over to ask Yunjian. Yunjian blushed at the question of where she had gone. Qin-Yu did not notice anything amiss. Suddenly, Qin-Yu saw that Yunjian's fair legs were red like they were pressed down by something heavy for a while. What Qin-Yu did not know was that the red marks were caused by C.E. Qin-Yu did not think much about it either. She looked at Yunjian's legs and asked, "Sister Jian, why are you looking at your legs?" "Ah, Sister Jian, why is the side of your leg so red? Did you get pricked by something when you swam in the water just now?" Hey. Chapter 1987. Yunjian's first reaction when she heard Qin-Yu was to gather her thighs and pull the short jacket closer to her thighs. It was not enough to cover her thighs, but it was better than just now. At that moment, Yunjian's cheeks were indescribably rosy. "Sister Jian, why are you blushing?" Qing Yu had no idea what she had just discovered as she tilted her head to look at Yun Jian and asked suspiciously, "It's probably an allergy." "It's fine," Yun Jian lied through her teeth. Yun Jian was not as thick-skinned as Ce, nor was she as fluent in lying as Ce. It was worth mentioning that Ce was an expert at telling lies. "Why are you allergic?" "Sister Jian, do you want to go to the hospital for a checkup?" Qing Yu asked, looking at Yun Jian worriedly. If they went to the hospital, they would be found out that she and Ce had taken the forbidden fruit in secret. "No need, it's fine now." Yun Jian declined quickly. As she spoke, she pinched Ce discreetly in the dark where Qing Yu, Yun Gun Yinji, and Xiao Yunju could not see. Ce looked at Yun Jian with a faint smile. His Xiao Jian was getting cuter and cuter. So cute that he wanted to press his Xiao Jian under him every day. Yun Jian did not know that Ce was thinking about something so embarrassing. She merely pinched Ce lightly, reluctant to pinch him too hard. "The barbecue is done. It's going to be burnt later. Come over and eat." Qing Yu waved at Yun Jian, Ce, and the others from afar. Seeing that, the mark on Yun Jian's leg was finally put aside for the time being. Just as Yun Jian and the others returned to the shade, Qing Yu placed the barbecue skewers on prepared bowls and plates and passed them to Yun Jian and the others. Lan Su's child had already started eating the skewers. Of course, Lan Su dared not feed him too much. The skewers she fed him were not seasoned and were mashed in a porridge before feeding him. As the father, Adam was the one who did the mashing. The child's appearance made Adam both happy and depressed. He was happy that he and Lan Su had a child of their own. Most importantly, he had a child earlier than the young masters, Lin Wei, Imo, Sun, and Shuang. There was finally a first. His sperm was better than theirs. If Ce heard this, she would probably send Adam into space with a rocket. Qing Yu's barbecue was really delicious. Yun Jian ate more than 20 skewers in one go and didn't think it was too much. Everyone ate with relish. "Tomorrow, we'll go to the island to play. Tonight, we'll play around here for a while. Tomorrow, we'll check out of the hotel and take the ferry to Zhoushan Island. Then, we'll find a hotel there to stay." Gu Junjian explained his plan as he ate. Everyone expressed that they had no objections. Island, in modern Chinese, referred to a small piece of land surrounded by seawater. Therefore, to go to the island, one had to take the ferry. And to take the ferry, one had to go to the pier. Because there were many people traveling during the Mid-Autumn Festival, the tickets had to be bought in advance. Otherwise, one wouldn't be able to take the extra seats on the ferry. The island they were going to was called Zhoushan Island. Zhoushan Island was the largest island among the many nearby islands. At the same time, it was also the largest island in Country Z. Whether it was the beaches or the scenery on Zhoushan Island, it was one of the best. It was a national tourist attraction under its jurisdiction. Since they came to Wenzhou, they had never been to Zhoushan Island. As soon as Gu Junjian arrived in Wenzhou, he had already bought the ferry tickets from the pier to Zhoushan Island. It would depart at 7 a.m. the next day. The trip didn't end after eating the barbecue. The Mid-Autumn Festival trip would officially begin the next morning. Chapter 1988. They stayed there from 3 in the afternoon to 6 in the evening. The sun in the west was already setting, and the orange afterglow was reflected on the slowly floating clouds, leaving behind a scene that seemed like the sunset had not yet set. After admiring the afterglow of the sunset, everyone returned to their residences. They had just rushed to Wenzhou from Longmen City and had played for about 3 hours in the afternoon. They even had a barbecue, so everyone was a little tired. Just as they were about to head back, Gu Junjian received a call. Old Liang, why are you in Wenzhou too?" Sure. We're at Oasis Hotel. You guys can just head over when you're here." "Oh, sure. See you later then, Gu Junjian was surprised and delighted at the person on the other end of the phone before hanging up. Since the call was not on speaker, only Gu Junjian's surprised and delighted voice could be heard. It was only when Gu Junjian ended the call that Qing Yu glanced at Gu Junjian and asked, "Who was it?" Gu Junjian and Qing Yu were becoming more and more like an old married couple. Even the way they spoke sounded like an old married couple. After Gu Junjian ended the call, he explained to Qin Yuru with a smile. It was old Liang. His company gave him a break for the Mid-Autumn Festival too. He heard that we're traveling with our kids, so he came along too. He said he'd go to Zhoushan Island with us. It's a rare opportunity after all. After Gu Junjian explained, Qin Yuru hummed in response and nodded. Old Liang was Gu Yunjian's childhood friend and had known Gu Junjian since they were young. Although they had different careers later on, they had always kept in touch. Old Liang was the director of a high-tech company and held a high position now. He had been particularly busy in recent years and could not even spare time for holidays, let alone meeting Gu Junjian. Gu Junjian was surprised and delighted that Old Liang had a break for the Mid-Autumn Festival this year. Obviously, Qin Yuru also knew who Lao Yang was. At the same time, Yun Jian and Si helped to pack up all the barbecue equipment. After moving the barbecue grill and other things into the car, the group drove back to the Oasis Hotel. Gu Junjian was very excited because his childhood friend, Old Liang, had already brought his family to the Oasis Hotel. How long had it been since he last saw Old Liang? After they each had their own families, they hadn't seen each other for several years. Upon returning to the Oasis Hotel, Yun Jian saw a middle-aged man about the same age as Gu Junjian standing in front of the hotel. Next to the middle-aged man stood a graceful and elegant lady. The lady was holding the hand of a young girl who was about the same age as Yun Jian. Before Yun Jian and Gu Junjian could walk over, the young girl who was about the same age as Yun Jian looked around with disdain. She waved her hand to get rid of the summer heat around her ears and said to the middle-aged man, "Brother Yi, you're too young." "Dad, why we have to come to such a godforsaken place for a vacation? It's so hot. You could just find your friends and come by yourself. Why do you have to make me and my mother come too?" I don't care. I've already asked you to accompany me. He'll be here soon." "You, Sai, I say, you're so worrisome even after growing up. I've already said that Jin Yu isn't suitable to be your boyfriend, much less your future husband. Why don't you listen to me?" When the middle-aged man heard his daughter's words, he was furious and clenched his fists. "What are you doing? Are you trying to hit our daughter? I think Jin Yu is an upright person. He's not bad. The most important thing is that our daughter likes him. Our daughter is fair, rich, and beautiful. She can have any man she wants." When the lady saw that her husband wanted to hit her daughter, she hurriedly stood in front of her daughter and glared at the middle-aged man. Old Liang. At this moment, Gu Junjian had already brought Yun Jian and the others over to where the middle-aged man was. The middle-aged man was still holding his forehead. He had a headache over the daughter he had spoiled and his wife who was so protective of her. However, when he heard Gu Yunjian's voice, the middle-aged man turned around. "Old Gu." The middle-aged man no longer hesitated. He walked over in front of everyone and hugged Gu Junjian, whom he hadn't seen in a long time. Chapter 1989. Lao Liang was the middle-aged man from earlier. The lady standing beside Lao Liang was Lao Liang's wife, Yu Yuan. Yu Yuan was born into a wealthy family. She was a match for Old Liang, who was already well off to begin with. Actually, that was not the case. Lao Liang's family background was the same as Gu Yunjian's, who was born into a wealthy family. Both Lao Liang and Gu Junjian were born into wealthy families, so they could not decide on their marriage. However, Gu Yunjian's ex-wife ran away with another man, so the marriage was annulled. Lao Liang was a senior executive in his company, and his wife, Yu Yuan, was also forced on him by his parents. Yu Yuan was an unreasonable and troublemaker to begin with, so Old Liang didn't like her. Lao Liang and Yu Yuan even had a daughter named Liang Xiumin. Liang Xiumin was the daughter who did not listen to Lao Liang. Her father did not agree, but Liang Xiumin insisted on having a boyfriend. This time, Liang Xiumin was forced to come to Wenzhou by Lao Liang. Liang Xiumin reluctantly called her boyfriend over, and he was almost here. Lao Liang knew that Gu Junjian was coming out to have fun, so he came over because his company was on holiday. Now that he saw his old friend, Gu Junjian, whom he had not seen for a long time, Lao Liang forgot about his daughter and walked over to hug Gu Junjian. Because of many things, Lao Yang could not leave Ge Yunjian's second wedding, so Lao Yang felt a little apologetic. Now that he saw Qin Yuru, Lao Yang even said apologetically to her, "Sister-in-law, I did not make it to your wedding. Please forgive me." Lao Yang did not come, but he did not forget the gifts. Qin Yuru naturally remembered who was good and who was bad. Therefore, Qin Yuru also said a few words of courtesy. Other than Yu Yuan and Liang Xiaomin, who did not talk to Qin Yuru or Ge Junjian, Lao Yang was very friendly. In the end, it was old Liang who forcefully introduced his daughter, Liang Xiaomin, to Yunjian. However, at that time, Liang Xiaomin was at odds with her father and did not want to talk to anyone. It wasn't until Liang Xiaomin's boyfriend, Jin Yu, arrived that Liang Xiaomin finally opened her mouth and her bad mood improved a little. Liang Xiaomin's boyfriend, Jin Yu, was dressed like a gangster. In this era, tattered pants were not popular, and boys or girls wearing tattered pants would give people the impression that they were hooligans. At this moment, Jin Yu was wearing a pair of ripped trousers, walking over from a distance with an air of arrogance. There were a few young men and women beside Jin Yu. They were dressed similarly to Jin Yu, and it was obvious that they were gangsters. When Liang Xiaomin saw Jin Yu, she was still smiling. But when she saw the boys and girls beside Jin Yu, her face sank. "My dad was unhappy when he knew you were coming. Why did you bring others here?" Jin Yu's looks weren't bad, but he was a proper gigolo. "Didn't everyone want to come and have some fun? So I brought them here. We've already spent all our money on the tickets. Xiaomin, we'll have to rely on you for the rest of the money." Jin Yu tricked Liang Xiaomin in the dark. As he spoke, Jin Yu moved closer to Liang Xiaomin and added suggestively, "I love you, so I came even though I don't have any money with me. All right, don't be mad anymore." Yin Jian heard Jin Yu and Liang Xiaomin's secret conversation. It was obvious that Jin Yu was lying to Liang Xiaomin. After all, the Liang family was rich and affluent. What did that have to do with Yin Jian? As Liang Xiaomin and Jin Yu spoke, Yin Jian had already returned to the hotel with C.E., Qin Yu, and the others. It was 8 in the evening when Qin Yu came to ask Yin Jian out. "Sister Jian, there's a casino on the second floor of this hotel. Do you want to go play a few rounds?" C.E. and Yin Yi were both called over by Ge Junjian to play chess with him and old Liang. C.E. naturally agreed to his future father-in-law's invitation. Oasis Hotel was an AAA-rated National Green Hotel. The facilities in the hotel were luxurious, with hot springs, massage parlors, and more. There was even a chess room. Once Yin Jian recalled what C.E. had done to her in the afternoon, she nodded and agreed to Qin Yu's request. With the mysterious man still alive, her safety was at risk at all times. It was best if she did not get pregnant now. It was not that Yin Jian did not want to bear C.E. a child. Therefore, while C.E. was not around, Yin Jian planned to go to the pharmacy downstairs to buy an emergency morning-after pill. Of course, Yin Jian dared not let C.E. know that she was going to buy the pill. Yin Jian's period had been irregular for the past 2 months. She was afraid that if she really got pregnant, she would not be able to fight the mysterious man and would be a burden to C.E. Yin Jian did not think about the consequences if C.E. found out about her buying the morning-after pill. A. Chapter 1990. Sure, Yin Jian agreed to Qin Yu's invitation. She could buy the morning-after pill from the pharmacy downstairs when they went to the casino later and consume it secretly. Who would not know that? Qin Yu had actually come over to ask Yin Yi to gamble with Yin Jian at the casino when she was not around. Yin Jian was known as the female gambling god by the group of old men with the best gambling skills in the international gambling industry. Yin Jian had even gambled away a month's worth of profits at the internationally renowned Feng Yun Casino for a night. $1 billion USD. Her gambling skills were astounding. That was why Qin Yu had come over to ask Yin Jian out, planning to have Yin Jian bring her, a poor person with mediocre gambling skills, to win big. Both of them had just left the room and went down to the second floor of the hotel when they bumped into Liang Xiaomin, Jin Yu, and the rest. Liang Xiaomin pouted and followed Jin Yu and the rest to the casino unwillingly. "Don't worry. What's so scary about the casino? I'll protect you. Moreover, We're not betting much, so the chances of winning are high. Even if we lose, it won't cost much. Xiaoming, your family is so rich, you wouldn't care about such a small amount of money, would you? Jin Yu was still baiting Liang Xiaoming when she caught sight of Yun Jian, and Qin Yu just as she said that. Jin Yu stopped what she was about to say immediately. From what Jin Yu had said to Liang Xiaoming when she first appeared and what happened afterward, it could be seen that Jin Yu was a gigolo. Liang Xiaoming's father, old Liang, was the general manager of a high-tech company and was very wealthy. Jin Yu had her eyes on Liang Xiaoming's family's wealth since the beginning. Liang Xiaoming was not particularly pretty, but she was still acceptable. For the sake of money, Jin Yu got close to Liang Xiaoming, who appeared to be high and mighty, but was actually quite gullible. It was a coincidence that they bumped into Yun Jian at the entrance of the hotel casino, and it shut Jin Yu's mouth to bluff Liang Xiaoming. Jin Yu had already seen Yun Jian at the gate. It had to be said that Yun Jian's appearance was too attractive. Jin Yu was attracted at a glance. Seeing that Yun Jian was going to the casino, Jin Yu put down her sugar daddy, Liang Xiaoming, and hurriedly waved at Yun Jian. Hey, we met at the entrance just now. You're the daughter of Xiaomin's father's friend, right? Why did a girl like you come to the casino? Don't tell me you know how to gamble? As she spoke, Jin Yu flipped her short black hair. This was Jin Yu's way of flirting with girls. There were very few girls who weren't attracted to Jin Yu. To be honest, Jin Yu's looks were indeed not bad. She was fair and clean, and her bones revealed a youthful aura. He was the type that many young girls liked and pursued. However, Yun Jian was not interested in this type of thing at all. Yun Jian ignored her and went to the casino with Qin Yu. Hey, why is she ignoring us? Liang Xiaoming wanted to call out to Yun Jian when she saw this. Forget it. She should be the more aloof type, Jin Yu said as she stopped Liang Xiaoming while watching Yun Jian walk into the casino. A few of Jin Yu's friends stood beside her. They were all gangsters like Jin Yu. Among them, a girl named Tong Liwei thought of a tall and handsome figure when she saw how Yun Jian ignored Jin Yu and walked into the casino. Tong Liwei was envious when she saw how Si held Yun Jian's hand at the entrance earlier. She wanted to have such a handsome and outstanding boyfriend as well. Therefore, she had the urge to snatch Si away from Yun Jian. Tong Liwei had always been someone who would act on her thoughts. Now that she saw Yun Jian walk into the casino, she could not help grumbling in front of everyone. This girl is probably from the triads. She must be someone who doesn't know how to behave if she can enter a place like this. The handsome man did not follow her, which meant that Yun Jian had snuck in. Thinking of this, Tong Liwei had the urge to catch Yun Jian's misdeeds and let see Yun Jian's true colors. Si would probably look down on Yun Jian this way. When Si was traumatized by the breakup, she would go and comfort him. After all, young men and women would be hurt for a long time after breaking up. Then, would it not be a matter of time before she took office? Tong Liwei smirked, feeling pleased with herself for having such a thought. Hey. Chapter 1991. Yun Jian did not know, nor was she interested in what Tong Liwei, Jin Yu, and the rest were thinking. By then, Yun Jian had already entered the casino on the second floor of Oasis Hotel. The casino on the second floor of Oasis Hotel was not big, but it was not small either. Yun Jian caught a whiff of the thick scent of cigarette smoke as soon as she walked in. There was a foul stench mixed in as well. There were no guards at the entrance of the casino, so Yun Jian and Qin Yu walked in easily. Yun Jian was beautiful with a hint of playfulness amidst her exquisite features. Yun Jian was already 18 years old at the time and had blossomed into a slender and elegant woman. Her voluptuous figure and perfect, but gave men a sense of conquest just by looking at her from afar. Yun Jian still had her hair tied up in a high ponytail. Looking from afar, she gave off the illusion that she was spirited and so beautiful that one could not take their eyes off her. Therefore, when Yun Jian walked into the casino, a few middle-aged men or bald men who were counting cards with their legs crossed or shaking wretchedly sat up straight and straightened their backs when they saw Yun Jian. Where did this woman come from? She's so pretty. She looks just like a movie star. Her skin is so soft and tender. However, The men around them only took a few more glances at Yun Jian and did not have any other thoughts. Liang Xiumin, Jin Yu, Tong Li Wei, and the rest followed closely from the main entrance. Liang Xiumin and the rest who came in later saw Yun Jian and Qin Yu walking toward the manager of the casino. What's she doing? Does she know the manager here? Tong Li Wei, who wanted to target Yun Jian and find her flaw so that C.E. could see the true colors of a person like Yun Jian, blinked. Tong Li Wei thought to herself, this woman is a B** starred indeed. How could she deserve the love of such a handsome man? Such a handsome man should belong to me, Tong Li Wei. Tong Li Wei thought there was something wrong with Yun Jian when she saw Yun Jian walking toward the manager of the casino. Tong Li Wei even wondered if Yun Jian was the secret mistress of the casino's manager. Everyone could see that the manager of the casino was a fatty who was not even 168 meters tall, but weighed about 200 caddies. The fat on his body could be rolled into a lump. Just looking at him was enough to make one lose their appetite. Once she thought that Yun Jian could be the mistress of such a person, Tong Li Wei was so excited that she wanted to get C.E. here right away and let C.E. see Yun Jian's true colors. Hey, what are you doing? When Jin Yu saw Yun Jian walking toward the manager of the casino, he dashed forward to block her way. Glancing around, Jin Yu told Yun Jian softly, "Don't worry. What's a little girl like you doing here?" This kind of place was usually under the protection of big shots from the underworld. There were people from the underworld. Can you afford to offend them? Leave quickly. Don't hurt yourself. Jin Yu sounded like he was thinking for Yun Jian, but he was actually thinking for Yun Jian. In spite of it, Jin Yu was not thinking for Yun Jian for no reason. He had a purpose in mind. He had a motive to win Yun Jian's affection for him. It was also Jin Yu's flirting tactics that won him the affection of many girls. Everyone thought that Jin Yu was a good man. However, Jin Yu was flirting with the wrong person today. The person he was flirting with was Yun Jian. Move. Yun Jian did not even look at Jin Yu. I'm doing this for your own good. Yun Jian walked around Jin Yu and continued to walk toward the manager of the casino. With Qin Yu blocking him, Jin Yu could not get to Yun Jian. What does she mean? Aren't we doing this for her own good? Although Liang Xiumin ignored Yun Jian in the beginning and acted like a spoiled brat, she was still a nice person when it came to critical moments, even though her tone was easily misunderstood. Liang Xiumin really wanted to turn around and call her father or good Yun Jian to stop Yun Jian, afraid that Yun Jian would do something irreversible. Tong Li Wei, who was beside her, brainwashed Liang Xiumin about Yun Jian. I think she must know the manager of this casino. She might even be the woman lying under his crotch. Just as Tong Li Wei spoke, the crowd saw Yun Jian standing in front of the manager of the casino. Her frigid gaze flickered as her arrogant, haughty voice rang coldly and echoed throughout the place. You're the manager here? If you don't want to lose your casino in the next 10 minutes, get your best gambler to come out and bet with me. Hey. Chapter 1992. When Yun Jian said this, her tone was flat, so flat that no one present could tell whether she was happy or sad. But the flat words that came out of Yun Jian's mouth sounded extremely arrogant in the ears of everyone present. Yun Jian had a kind of innate magical power. She used a tone that was so flat that no one could tell whether she was happy or sad, but she could say such arrogant words. At least when she said this, everyone was stunned for a moment. Where did this girl come from? She was so arrogant. As soon as she said this, even the person in charge of the casino, a man in his 30s or 40s who was less than 168 meters tall and weighed at least 200 kilograms, looked at Yun Jian. Many gamblers in the casino also stopped their bets and turned to look at Yun Jian. Little girl, you want to bet with the most powerful person in our casino? The person in charge of the casino, a man who weighed around 200 kilograms and was known as Brother Iron Bull, glanced at Yun Jian. Judging from his tone, the aura that he displayed was not at all inferior to Yun Jian's. Some people had a strong aura, but when faced with a truly powerful person, that strong aura would immediately be defeated. For example, this person in charge of the casino who was known as Brother Iron Bull. You're crazy. I've already told you that those who open casinos must have someone backing them. Be careful not to get entangled with them. You won't be able to escape. I'm doing this for your own good." When Jinyu heard this, he walked closer to Yunjian and winked at Yunjian in the softest voice possible. It had to be said that Jinyu was taking a risk this time to make Yunjian have a good impression of him. When a normal girl saw a guy who was considered handsome showing so much concern for her, even if this guy had a girlfriend, he would still come up to flirt with Jinyu. But Yunjian? She actually ignored him time and time again. The more Yunjian ignored him, the more Jinyu wanted to get closer to Yunjian. Therefore, even though she knew that she couldn't speak carelessly in the casino, not to mention that Yunjian had already attracted the attention of the person in charge of the casino, Jinyu still took the risk to stand up and dissuade Yunjian in order to gain a good impression. Yes, Yunjian looked at the person in charge of the casino, who was Brother Tainyo. She answered softly in front of everyone and still ignored Jinyu. "Huh, it's been a long time since I've met such an interesting girl like you." He even said that if our casino's best player didn't come out to bet with you, you could win our casino in 10 minutes. How arrogant. Come. Iron Bull will bet with you. Brother Tainyo struggled to get up from his seat and waved at Yunjian. Everyone knew that the Oasis Hotel's casino was backed by a powerful gang in Jia Province. And this powerful gang had a certain cooperative relationship with Jia Province's #1 gang, Falcon Hall. Falcon Hall had a very high status in Jia Province. That was Jia Province's #1 gang. Falcon Hall's boss, Slaying Luo, was a powerful and ruthless character. Although Slaying Luo hadn't fought for 2 years, her achievements in the past still made people's blood boil when they heard about it. Brother Tainyo, who was the person in charge of the casino, was also the best gambler in the entire casino. It was said that he had never met a match in the Oasis Hotel's casino. This girl who appeared out of nowhere dared to bet with Brother Tainyo. Was she prepared to lose? Jinyu saw that Brother Tainyo had already spoken, so he didn't dare to dissuade her anymore. What if he went overboard and got himself into trouble? He was so young and had a bright future ahead of him. He couldn't lose his future just because of a girl who didn't listen to his advice. Jinyu was afraid of getting himself into trouble, so when he saw that Yunjian didn't listen to his advice, he quickly found a reason to get Liang Xiaomin, Tong Liwei, and the rest to leave the casino with him. Tong Liwei felt relieved when she saw that Yunjian was courting death. After all, if one lost a bet and couldn't afford to pay for it, some people even had to use themselves to pay for it. Yunjian was pretty. If those men won the bet, then wouldn't Yunjian be? In order to see Yunjian lose the bet and become the plaything of those men, Tong Liwei urged Jinyu, Liang Xiaomin, and the rest to return to the casino with her half an hour later. However, what they saw wasn't Yunjian being pawned because she lost the bet, but big sister, great aunt, my grandmother, my dear grandmother, I beg you to go gamble in another casino. If you continue to gamble, our casino staff will have nothing to eat. I beg you, please have mercy. Brother Tainyo, who had been full of vigor earlier, was now kneeling and begging Yunjian for mercy. He looked like he was about to kowtow to Buddha. Tong Liwei, Jinyu, and the rest were stunned when they saw this. What was going on? Chapter 1993. Why did Brother Tainyo, who was in high spirits earlier and thought that winning Yunjian was just a matter of time, have a bitter expression now? He was just short of kowtowing to Yunjian and begging for forgiveness? What's going on? Why is the casino's manager kneeling to her? Tong Liwei wanted to see Yunjian court death and beg for forgiveness from the casino's people, so she ran back to watch the show. But what she saw was not Yunjian begging for forgiveness from the casino's people, but the casino's manager personally begging Yunjian to be merciful. What exactly happened just now? Tong Liwei was so scared that she almost had a heart attack. She even stuttered when she spoke. Jinyu, who had been persuading Yunjian not to provoke the casino, was also scared out of her wits when she saw this scene. She was almost as scared as Tong Liwei. Liang Xiaomin, who had always been pampered and spoiled, heaved a sigh of relief for Yunjian when she saw this scene. Although Liang Xiaomin was too lazy to care about Yunjian after she quarreled with her father, and her tone was as arrogant as a peacock spreading its tail, Liang Xiaomin was still kind. After all, Yun Jian was the daughter of her father's friend. If something really happened to her, Liang Xiaomin would also panic. Just as everyone's thoughts were turning and everyone was panicking, Yun Jian, who was sitting at the gambling table and being treated like a god by Brother Tainyo and the casino's people, played with a die on the table and drew a red arc again. She still wanted to gamble? She still wanted to gamble? My dear aunt, big sister, this is just a small casino. You can go to a big casino to gamble. I beg you, we're really going to have nothing to eat. My dear aunt, please be magnanimous and let us go. If you continue to gamble, we'll really go bankrupt. Brother Tainyo stood in front of Yin Jian and knelt down and kowtowed. The surrounding regulars, the group of gamblers, had never seen Brother Tainyo like this. They were all stunned on the spot. Some of the gamblers were so shocked that they put down the bets in their hands and looked over in this direction. Only a portion of the gamblers saw how Yun Jian and Brother Tainyo bet. Most of the people were playing their own games. On the other side, most of the gamblers who saw Yun Jian and Brother Tainyo's bet were so scared that their faces turned pale. All right, Sister Jian, I think it's about time to collect the money, Qingyu said with a cheeky grin as she rubbed her hands together. Qingyu was not poor, but money was never too little. When Yun Jian was gambling with Brother Tainyo, she was just toying with Brother Tainyo. According to Yun Jian's normal standards, she could take away all of the casino's assets in less than 10 minutes. Yes. After listening to Qingyu, Yun Jian felt that it was about time. She still had to go downstairs to buy medicine, so she decided to stop. Here, transfer the money you guys lost to Sister Jian to this card. Qingyu pulled out a card from her pocket and tossed it on the table. Just like how Yun Jian won a month's worth of profits in Fengyun Casino after a night of gambling in her past life. When Yun Jian gambled in Fengyun Casino back then, Qingyu had followed her to collect the money without any hesitation. Seeing Qingyu toss out the card, everyone was stunned again. Jinyu, Tong Li Wei, and the others who stood a distance away were stunned, but they could not help thinking. There was a backer behind this casino. It was true that Yun Jian won the money, but could she take it away? She had no power or influence. Was she going to fight them head-on? After all, Brother Tainyo and his gang were mostly triads. Even if Yun Jian won the money, she might not be able to take it away. Just as Jinyu, Tong Li Wei, and the rest were thinking about it, an employee in the casino pointed at the car with the unique skull symbol that Qingyu tossed out and cried out in shock. What the hell is this? This card. Qingyu's card was marked with the Kosha mercenaries' exclusive symbol in the shape of a skull. Outsiders could not get their hands on such a card. Only the Kosha mercenaries' elders had it. Next to the skull imprint on each of the elders' bank cards, there were their respective nicknames. On Qingyu's piece of paper, there was a simple word Qing written beside the skull. Seeing this card, the man who recognized it pointed at the card in front of everyone and exclaimed, "That's right, Mr. Zhang. Isn't this the exclusive card of the Kosha mercenaries, Elder Qingyu? There's only one of it in the world. Why is it with you? Also, I once heard that in the world's largest casino, Wind Cloud Casino, the woman known as the strongest female gambling god, who won a month's income of $1 billion in one night, used this card to swipe the money from Wind Cloud Casino." As the person spoke, he turned his gaping mouth to Yun Jian and exclaimed to Yun Jian in front of Brother Iron Bull, Tong Li Wei, Jinyu, and everyone else, "You're the one who's going to die. Could you be the lady gambler who won a month's worth of profits in the biggest Fengyun casino in the world?" Hey. Chapter 1994. In her past life, Yun Jian was the one who gambled crazily that night in Fengyun Casino, while Qingyu was the one who collected the money. Therefore, in conclusion, it was Qingyu who collected the money in Fengyun Casino using her personal bank card. How did this man know so much? My big brother works at Fengyun Casino. It's all because of him that I can work here. The woman who was called the female gambling god by the international bosses back then had a woman by her side. That woman was probably her subordinate who collected the money for her. That night, she won $1 billion in Fengyun Casino in one go. The gambling method was ever-changing, and the tactics used in every round were different. She could be called the top gambler in the casino. My big brother saw it with his own eyes. He told me that he went from being unconvinced in the beginning to being completely convinced and even idolizing the woman. The woman who collected the money for her next to her threw out a bank card with a skull mark exclusive to the Kosha mercenaries. There was a ching beside the skull mark, which meant that this woman's subordinate was from the Kosha mercenaries. Seeing that the crowd was confused, the man stared at Yun Jian with his round eyes and shouted in disbelief in front of the crowd. The man was obviously an employee of the casino who worked under Brother Tainyo. Those who stood around, including Jin Yu and Liang Xiaomin, turned to look at Yun Jian in disbelief after hearing what the man said. An elder of the Kosha mercenaries? If Yun Jian's subordinate, Qing Yu, was an elder of the Kosha mercenaries, then who was Yun Jian? The elders of the Kosha mercenaries took orders from the boss of the Kosha mercenaries. What did it mean that an elder like Qing Yu was following behind Yun Jian? Could she be Yun Jian? She was the one who won a month's worth of profits in Feng Yun Casino in one night, $1 billion USD. Rumor has it that she might be the boss of the Kosha mercenaries, the woman known as the female gambling god. Oh my god, how's that possible? She's just a young girl. Someone exclaimed in disbelief while hugging his head. Feng Yun Casino was the largest casino in the world. Back then, the mysterious woman brought her subordinates to the casino and gambled for a whole night. The news of her winning $1 billion USD from Feng Yun Casino was spread all over the world, shocking and horrifying countless international bosses and bigwigs. That woman's actions were simply terrifying and frightening. In addition, the woman's subordinate threw out a bank card that belonged to an elder of the Kosha mercenaries. It was concluded that the mysterious woman was the boss of the Kosha mercenaries. At that time, this incident caused a storm around the world. After all, everyone present often hung out in the casino, so they had long heard of this matter. Now that this matter was brought up again after so many years, everyone present still felt their hearts tighten fiercely. The gamblers in the casino, including the staff, retreated as if they had seen something terrifying, trying to find a place to hide. Tong Liwei and the rest were confused. What was the gambling goddess from Feng Yun Casino? Where was Feng Yun Casino? What was the Kosha mercenaries? Jin Yu had heard of them, but Tong Liwei had no idea. Tong Liwei didn't know what this meant, so she asked very naturally, "What do you mean? What about Feng Yun Casino and Kosha mercenaries? Why are you so afraid of her after hearing that she's the boss of the Kosha mercenaries?" Tong Liwei pointed at Yun Jian as she spoke. Just as Tong Liwei was puzzled, a man from afar looked at Yun Jian in horror. If she's the boss of the Kosha mercenaries, then she's slaying God. You don't even know about the Kosha mercenaries. Kosha mercenaries is the world's #1 mercenary group. They're on par with the #1 assassin organization, and Hun. And slaying God is ranked #1 on the secret agent ranking, the strongest secret agent in history. Being targeted by her is akin to stepping into a coffin. No one can survive slaying God's saber. Hey. Chapter 1995. As soon as the man finished speaking, Tong Liwei's eyes widened from a moment ago to shock and fear. What? Slaying God was the top secret agent on the international secret agent ranking. No one could survive slaying God's blade. Slaying God Yun Jian? Yun Jian was only the daughter of Liang Xiaomin's father's friend. How could she be the top secret agent on the international secret agent ranking? Jin Yu's eyes widened at the same time until they could no longer widen. Liang Xiaomin, as well as Liang Xiaomin and her companions, were equally shocked. This result caused everyone present to be in disbelief. However, Tong Liwei, Jin Yu, Liang Xiaomin, and the rest had no choice but to believe it based on the reactions of all the gamblers in the casino staff, and the general manager, Brother Iron Bull. After deducing that Yun Jian was the female gambling god from Feng Yun Casino years ago and was most likely the boss of the Kosha mercenaries, all the gamblers put down their bets. This included the casino staff who abandoned their posts and the general manager, Brother Iron Bull, who weighed at least 200 caddies. This group of people, in front of Jin Yu, Tong Liwei, Liang Xiaomin and the others did something that made them turn pale with fright. The group of gamblers was so frightened by the possibility that Yun Jian was the boss of the Kosha mercenaries that they hid behind the tables and decorations. Some of them even hid in the corner of the table and trembled, causing the table to shake along with the tremors. Everyone present was a gambler. Gamblers were adults with their own mature and independent thoughts. What did it mean for them to hide in the corner of the table in fear? The boss of the Kosha mercenaries, the top secret agent on the international secret agent ranking, slaying God, had struck fear into their hearts. They were even willing to abandon their dignity. Tong Li Wei, Jin Yu, and the rest were completely dumbfounded. Just as everyone thought so, Yun Jian, who had been silent since the beginning, picked up Qing Yu's bank card from the table. Then, Yun Jian's lips curled into a faint smile that frightened everyone present. Then, she reached for the bank card in front of everyone and tore off the skull mark and the word Qing, that was Qing Yu's exclusive name beside it. The skull mark and the word Qing, that was exclusive to Qing Yu, were pasted on with a unique sticker. How many times have I told you? Posting things like this can easily scare someone to death. Yun Jian said flatly. With a flick of her finger, the sticker fell to the ground, and she passed the bank card to Qing Yu. Qing Yu pouted and took the bank card from Yun Jian. I just thought it was fun. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they saw this. So it turned out that everyone's fear was just a false alarm. In fact, that was not the case. It was true that the Kosha mercenaries' bank cards had the exclusive mark of the Kosha mercenaries. However, outsiders did not know that the mark on the bank card could be torn off like a sticker using a certain method. It could be pasted back next time. The sticker was unique and could not be imitated by outsiders. What? False alarm. What nonsense. I was wondering, how could this young lady be slaying God? It was only then that everyone in the room came out from the corners of the table, wiping away their cold sweat with a wave of their hands. They had to admit that the crowd was terrified when slaying God's name spread. Tong Li Wei recovered from her shock as well. Knowing that Yun Jian was not slaying God, Tong Li Wei looked at Yun Jian in disdain. Why are you acting all high and mighty? How shameless. You even snatched such a handsome boyfriend. You're not worthy of that handsome man. She, Tong Li Wei, would snatch her boyfriend away. Hey. Chapter 1996. Tong Li Wei actually did not know what slaying God and Kosha mercenaries represented. She was a student about the same age as Yun Jian. Jin Yu was in the underworld, and Tong Li Wei knew him, so she tagged along to have fun. Liang Xiaomin had to pay for all the expenses of Jin Yu's friends, including Tong Li Wei. Liang Xiaomin was dumb enough to pay the bill obediently after being tricked by Jin Yu. As for a girl like Tong Li Wei, all she knew about assassins and secret agents came from Jin Yu and other men in the underworld. To put it bluntly, guys like Jin Yu would often pretend to be knowledgeable and boast in front of girls like Tong Li Wei. This also caused Tong Li Wei's understanding of assassins and secret agents to be limited. After all, the internet was not widely available in this era. Other than schools, newspapers, magazines, people's sources of knowledge were just hearsay. It was obvious that Tong Li Wei did not know the horrors of assassins and secret agents. So she was shocked, but not too shocked. She was an ignorant person after all. Once she was sure that Yun Jian was not slaying God or the boss of Kosha mercenaries, Tong Li Wei began to plan her own scheme again. After what happened just now, Brother Tainyo dared not withhold the money he had lost to Yun Jian. Taking the bank card from Qing Yu with trembling hands, Brother Tainyo ordered someone to transfer the money he had lost to Yun Jian into Qing Yu's card. 10 minutes later, the lackey he had sent to transfer the money to Qing Yu's card came running back to return the card to her. Haha, thanks. Qing Yu took the card and made a circle with her thumb and index finger, flicking the card softly. There was meat to be gained by following Sister Jian. That was true. Seeing that Yun Jian and Qing Yu were leaving, Brother Tainyo hurried over to wave at Yun Jian. Are you leaving? Please, please. Please, please. He looked like he was afraid that Yun Jian would not leave again. Yun Jian was about to leave, but after hearing Brother Tainyo's words, she narrowed her eyes and turned around again. Brother Iron Bull shook his fat body violently. He was so scared that he couldn't turn around quickly. Oh my God, could it be that she didn't want to leave? Just when Brother Tainyo was about to speak, Yun Jian's voice suddenly rang out, scaring Brother Tainyo so much that he almost jumped up. What's your name? Ask for his name? Brother Tainyo secretly wiped away his cold sweat. He looked at Yun Jian and answered honestly, My name is Lin Tainyo. Lin Tainyo was originally an honest country bumpkin. Later on, he relied on his own strength to climb to his current position. He could be considered quite impressive. However, no one could figure out why Yun Jian was asking for Brother Tainyo's name. Could it be that she has taken a fancy to that Brother Tainyo? Do you want to ride on my coattails? Tong Liwei thought in her heart and said it out softly. At that moment, Tong Liwei was standing beside Liang Xiumin. She seemed to be talking to herself, but also seemed to be talking to Liang Xiumin. What are you talking about? Liang Xiumin wasn't particularly close to Tong Liwei. After hearing Tong Liwei's words, Liang Xiumin frowned and asked, No, nothing. Tong Liwei realized that she had said what was on her mind. She quickly shook her head and waved her hands. On the other side, Yun Jian's lips had already curved into a red arc. She glanced at Brother Tainyo in front of everyone and said, Wenzhou City's Qinglong Gang? After hearing Yun Jian's words, one of Brother Tainyo's subordinates looked at Yun Jian in shock and exclaimed, How? How did you know that our casino belongs to the Qinglong Gang? The casino's backer was the Qinglong Gang of Wenzhou City. I know all the gangs in Zhe Province. Yun Jian's lips curved into a red arc as she pursed her red lips. Because she was the boss of the #1 gang in Zhe Province. The current Falcon Hall was equivalent to the leader of all the gangs in Zhe Province. Seeing this from afar, Tong Liwei rolled her eyes and thought to herself, trying to be mysterious again. On the other hand, Jin Yu thought that Yun Jian was pretending to know when she didn't. Brother Tainyo blinked. Just as he was about to speak, Yun Jian's words rang out in front of everyone. I'll recommend the Qinglong Gang's boss to put you in an important position. After all, there aren't many people with guts like you. After Yun Jian finished her words, she waved at Qin Yu and the two of them walked out. Tong Liwei, Jin Yu, and the rest were still pondering over the meaning of Yun Jian's words when Brother Tainyo's eyes widened suddenly. Other than the former boss of Falcon Hall, Su Zetian, there was only one other woman who could recommend someone to the Qinglong Gang's boss. And that woman was none other than Falcon Hall's boss. Looking in the direction that Yun Jian left, Brother Tainyo exclaimed in shock. She is... Hey! Chapter 1997. Brother Tainyo exclaimed again. Tong Liwei, Jin Yu, and the others' hearts that had just calmed down were lifted again. Who is she? Who is she? Just because of Yun Jian's nonsensical words just now, she had to prove who she was again? But at this moment, before Elder Brother Tainyo could say anything, he reached out his hand and covered his mouth before he could cry out in surprise. Who is she? He could not say it. Brother Iron Bull was courageous and insightful, so he naturally understood this. Brother Tainyo had already guessed Yun Jian's identity, but he was not going to say it now. Brother Tainyo, who is she? One of Brother Tainyo's men beside him asked. Brother Tainyo removed his hand from his mouth quickly and waved calmly. It's nothing. Go back to your work. She was Falcon Hall's boss. Only Falcon Hall's boss was a woman and qualified to recommend someone to Qinglong Sect's boss. Oh God, he had just bumped into the boss of the province's top mafia group, Falcon Hall. One had to know how powerful Falcon Hall was now. It was only a matter of time before they became the top mafia group in Country Z. Moreover, Luo Sha had not led Falcon Hall on an operation for 2 years, and he had actually bumped into her this time. Brother Tainyo was indescribably excited and proud to be recognized by Yun Jian. By then, Yun Jian had already left the casino. Sister Jian, you're still as amazing as before. Qin Yu praised Yun Jian sincerely when she and Yun Jian got to the elevator. Yun Jian hummed in response and said, Amen, go back to the hotel room first. I'll go downstairs to buy something. Okay. Qin Yu nodded at Yun Jian with her bank card in hand. Tong Li Wei, who had followed them out of the casino, happened to hear Yun Jian's words. "Let's go downstairs to buy some fruits too. It'll quench our thirst," Tong Li Wei told Jin Yu and the others after hearing what Yun Jian said. In fact, Tong Li Wei wanted to follow them secretly to see what Yun Jian was going to buy. Moving Qin Yu away, was she trying to do something bad? Yun Jian didn't care about Tong Li Wei and the others. She turned around and went downstairs. She went straight to the pharmacy near the Oasis Hotel. Tong Li Wei also followed Jin Yu and the others into the fruit shop in the opposite direction of the pharmacy. Jin Yu and the others were buying fruits at the fruit store. Tong Li Wei made an excuse to go out and happened to see Yun Jian walking into the pharmacy. She narrowed her eyes and sneaked to the entrance of the pharmacy. Looking inside, Tong Li Wei saw Yun Jian standing in front of the gynecological medicine. Tong Li Wei wondered if Yun Jian had some gynecological disease. Then, she didn't want anyone to know that she had a gynecological disease, so she secretly came to buy medicine alone? Tong Li Wei rolled her eyes. She seemed to have caught Yun Jian's weakness and ran to the Oasis Hotel at the speed of a rocket. She finally caught Yun Jian's weakness. Oomph. She immediately called Yun Jian's boyfriend over to take a look and let him know what kind of person Yun Jian was. At the same time, Yun Jian was standing in front of the gynecological medicine in the pharmacy. She did not know that she was standing at the wrong counter. "Hello, may I know what you need?" The female doctor in the pharmacy asked Yun Jian very politely. "Contraceptive." Yun Jian had just uttered these two words. The female doctor had already understood what Yun Jian wanted. The hotel was right next door, and there were many men and women who had lost control of their bowels. There were also many people who came to buy the morning after pill. "This is what you want." The female doctor quickly passed it to Yun Jian. Yun Jian nodded and asked for a cup of hot water from the female doctor. She put the medicine in her palm and was about to put it into her mouth. However, just as Yun Jian was about to put the medicine into her mouth, a slender palm grabbed her wrist. Yun Jian was shocked. Before she could react, the owner of the palm had already smashed all the medicine in Yun Jian's hand onto the ground and crushed them. The medicine and the box were smashed to pieces in front of the female doctor. Yun Jian was shocked. She raised her head and clearly saw Siyi's handsome and flawless face. His eyebrows were tightly knitted. Hey. Chapter 1998. Siyi's brows were so tightly furrowed that they could squeeze a fly to death. Yun Jian didn't need to think to know that he was very angry at this moment. Yun Jian opened her mouth. "She's taking gynecological medicine. She must have contracted some strange disease. Is it some kind of female disease, uterine disease, or some kind of disease that prevents her from having children? I think it must be some kind of shameful disease." After she told Siyi about Yun Jian at the pharmacy, Siyi kicked the stool away and ran here. Tong Li Wei, who had been ignored by Siyi, finally chased after him. Tong Li Wei was out of breath as she chased after him, but when she saw Siyi grabbing Yun Jian's hand and looking flustered and exasperated, Tong Li Wei couldn't help but add insult to injury. After saying this, Tong Li Wei stood to the side with a solemn expression on her face. She felt that Siyi would definitely act like a teenage boy. After discovering that his girlfriend had secretly done something behind his back, he would act as though she had betrayed him. He would act as though he had been betrayed by some kind of super unparalleled emotional betrayal and insist on breaking up with her. Tong Li Wei was already smiling. She felt that Yun Jian was definitely done for and that she should be the next in line. Abruptly, Siyi, who had crushed the medicine box with his feet, extended his hand in front of the female doctor and Tong Li Wei. Siyi didn't reach out to hit Yun Jian, as Tong Li Wei had thought. In fact, that was impossible. Even if Siyi shot her to death, he wouldn't bear to touch a single hair on Yun Jian's head. Siyi reached out and pulled Yun Jian into his embrace in front of the female doctor and Tong Li Wei. "Why are you taking birth control pills? This thing is harmful to your health. Don't touch it again," Siyi said as she grabbed Yun Jian's hand and walked out. When Yun Jian heard this, she blinked. She had thought that he had said that if she was really pregnant, she would give birth to the child. Now that he saw her taking birth control pills, he would definitely say something about her. However, he did not blame Yunjian for such a small matter. On the contrary, he was angry because Yunjian wanted to take birth control pills, which were harmful to her health. What if Xiao Jian had side effects after eating it? He was different from other men. Some men saw that their women were not allowed to take birth control pills after they had told them not to. They even secretly took them behind their backs. Now, they were probably going to beat them up. This strange woman kept it from them. But what if hit Yunjian? Unless the sun exploded. The sky was falling. Grabbed Yunjian's hand and walked out of the pharmacy under Tong Liwei's shocked gaze. Just as they exited the pharmacy, turned to look at Tong Liwei. Tong Liwei blushed from Ci's stare and lowered her head shyly, thinking that Ci would praise her. Who knew that Ci would look at her coldly? Don't let me see you again, or I'll cut off your arms and legs and make you wish you were dead. Ci's words were terrifyingly cold, like winter ice that froze one's heart and made them shiver. At this moment, Tong Liwei even felt that Ci's gentle words to Yunjian were unreal. This man was simply inhuman. Tong Liwei shuddered in fear. Pulled Yunjian away carefully without looking back after that. No matter when, who would dare to criticize his Xiao Jian? Go to hell then. If it were not for the Mid-Autumn Festival being such a beautiful vacation time, he would have sent Tong Liwei straight to hell. When pulled Yunjian away from the pharmacy, Tong Liwei sat on the floor like she was paralyzed. Hey! Liang Xiaomin's face was originally drooping as she unwillingly walked in the opposite direction. After taking 2 steps, she suddenly turned around and looked at Yunjian. She opened her mouth and said what she wanted to say. I'm studying dance at Jiangxing Media University. You can look for me. After saying that, Liang Xiaomin, who was super arrogant, blushed. She suddenly turned around and left with her suitcase. Seeing this, Yunjian only smiled faintly. Yunjian didn't go back to school immediately. Instead, she went to the hotel where Fox was staying. After a few days of rest, Fox's injuries had recovered a lot. Yunjian walked into the hotel directly. Chairman, Fox saw Yunjian and wanted to stand up. Just lie down. Did something happen in the company? Yunjian asked softly. The CEO asked me to look for you. 3 months later, the CEO plans to hold a banquet for the CEOs of global multinational companies to get to know each other. The leaders of many assassin organizations will also be invited. Reverse Emperor might also send people over. The CEO heard that you were back, but he couldn't contact you. So he asked me to ask if you want to attend the banquet. Fox said. It was on his way to look for Yunjian that Fox was suddenly attacked by Reverse Emperor's men. Yunjian, who wasn't interested in the banquet, changed her mind when she heard that Reverse Emperor might send people over. She replied simply, I'll go, hey. As expected, Su Zhenglong stopped running after 2 or 3 laps with his hands on his waist. Wei Jingxian ran 5 laps and stopped running. For boys like Su Zhenglong and Wei Jingxian who didn't train themselves often, running for a while was already good enough. Then, the two of them watched as Mo Bufan and Yun Jian ran away. Zhu Huili didn't run much either. After she finished her 5 laps, she drank some water and sat on the steps to wait for Yun Jian. For the past few days, she was the one who finished her run and sat on the steps to wait. At first, Su Zhenglong was still thinking about what Mo Bufan said about Yun Jian being different from other girls. It wasn't until Mo Bufan finished running and Yun Jian was still running that Su Zhenglong started to pay attention to Yun Jian. 45, 46, 47, 50. F*CK. Are you kidding me? She ran 50 laps. 50 laps. A girl actually ran 50 laps, so early in the morning. She can't be from the military, right? So fierce. When Yun Jian stopped and returned to her original spot, Su Zhenglong's eyes were already wide open. He was so scared that his soul almost left his body. 50 laps. The big field here was a 400-meter lap, and Yun Jian ran 20 kilometers. This distance was about the same as the morning exercise of the special forces in the military, right? And the time spent was only slightly more than an hour. This girl was too different from other girls. Su Zhenglong was already dumbfounded, and Wei Jingxian was also stunned. Hey! Chapter 2002. A normal person would be paralyzed on the ground after jogging for 3 kilometers. After Yun Jian finished running, she took the bottle of water from Zhu Huili, opened the cap, and drank the water in the bottle. After drinking, Yun Jian didn't gasp for breath. Her chest only moved slightly, and she didn't look like she was going to fall to the ground. Both Su Zhenglong and Wei Jingxian were completely dumbfounded. At this moment, after hearing Su Zhenglong say that Yun Jian wasn't from the military, Zhu Huili, who handed the water to Yun Jian, turned his head and glanced at Su Zhenglong. He couldn't help but say what he knew. How do you know that Yun Jian is from the military? She studied in the military school when she was in high school. As he said that, Zhu Huili felt a sense of pride for Yun Jian. F***CK. She's really from the military? Su Zhenglong was just talking nonsense. Now that he heard Zhu Huili's words, Su Zhenglong was stunned. Su Zhenglong was just sighing, but he never thought that Yun Jian was really from the military. Let's go to the club. Yun Jian took the jacket that she had just taken off from Zhu Huili and led the way to the martial arts club. Mo Buffon was also slightly stunned when he heard Zhu Huili's words. Yun Jian actually studied in the military school in high school. It was no wonder that she was so unpredictable. Hey, wait, little girl, you really studied in the military school in high school? Tell me, is the military school fun? Is there any difference between the students in the military school and us who studied in ordinary high schools? I've always fantasized about going to the military school myself. Then I'll be an outstanding soldier. So great, so powerful. Wait. Quick, tell me if your strength in the military academy is at the bottom or what. Su Zhenglong suddenly became interested. He chased after Yun Jian for a long distance and asked many questions. Was he tired? After a while, Yun Jian and the others arrived at the fixed place of the martial arts club. Every club in the university had its own fixed location. If a president wanted to open a club, he had to have a fixed and confirmed location where the members could maintain their interests together. Therefore, sometimes, if one wanted to set up a club without the school subsidies, it would take a lot of money to maintain a club. Mo Buffon's family was rich, and he loved martial arts. Originally, the martial arts club did not have a venue, so Mo Buffon paid for a venue that could be used to practice martial arts. There were all kinds of martial arts practice facilities inside. The venue was not within the university. Therefore, Yun Jian and the others left the university and went to the martial arts club. At this time, it was already close to 7 in the morning. The university students had no classes in the morning and were generally lazy to sleep. However, Mo Buffon requested for the members of the martial arts club to gather at the martial arts club at 6:30 every day. Therefore, no matter how sleepy they were, the members of the martial arts club had already gathered at the martial arts club's training ground. Zhu Huili did not come with them. She had an early class in the morning and had already returned to her dormitory. Before she left, she greeted Yun Jian. At this time, Yun Jian had already taken the lead and walked into the martial arts club's venue. However, what entered her eyes was a mess on the ground. Many things had been overturned. The garbage and the trash cans had been dumped on the ground, and some benches and chairs had been overturned. At this time, the martial arts club's venue should have been filled with members of the martial arts club, but only 1 or 2 girls were still standing there. When Yun Jian saw this, she frowned. What's going on? When Yun Jian had just become the president of the martial arts club, the members of the martial arts club did not welcome her. Although they did not say anything, all the members had given her a dirty look. They rolled their eyes at her while hiding in the dark. At this moment, the two girls standing in the same place were obviously frightened by what had happened not long ago. When they saw Yun Jian and Mo Buffon, it was as if they had seen a life-saving straw. They rushed towards Yun Jian and Mo Buffon in large strides. The martial arts club of Dragon City University next door is causing trouble again. When they heard that our club changed to a girl as the president, they ridiculed us with all kinds of words and said a lot of unacceptable things. Just now, Zhou Huntao quarreled with the people of Dragon City University's martial arts club. The people of Dragon City University's martial arts club began to overturn our tables and chairs. They even injured Zhou Huntao. Now, they sent him to the hospital. Hey! That knife was as fast as numbness. If she had used a little more strength, it wouldn't have been Wu Ren's clothes that were torn apart. The people present didn't dare to think about it anymore. At that time, everyone, including the Green Bull gang members, Mo Buffon, and Mo Buffon's brothers, Su Zhenglong and Wei Jingxian, were all in a daze. However, at that moment, Yin Jian put away her knife. In the next second, they heard her cold voice again. Unlike before, Yun Jian's voice made people tremble in fear for no reason. She said to everyone in the Green Bull gang, "In the past, the martial arts club lost to you because they were useless. I have nothing to say. Now that the martial arts club is in my hands, let me tell you, no matter how powerful the Green Bull gang was in the past, I, Yun Jian, can send you to hell. Hey!" This was too King scary. Wu Ren's cowardly look was enough to make everyone laugh at him for a while. Zhou Huntao only had a slight concussion, which wasn't very serious. He only needed to rest for 2 days and didn't need any special treatment. Therefore, the members of the martial arts club did not continue their crusade against Wu Ren. They only unanimously decided to inform the school and let Wu Ren's university punish him. Wu Ren couldn't even protect himself, so no one from the Green Bull gang dared to say another word. The Green Bull gang, who used to be incomparably arrogant, was now as quiet as a herd of sheep waiting to be slaughtered. At this time, Yun Jian had already walked out of the door. Actually, Yun Jian didn't come today to avenge Zhou Huntao. In Yun Jian's words, Zhou Huntao wasn't as good as Wu Ren, so he deserved to be beaten up and sent to the hospital. This was a world that relied on strength to survive. If you were bullied because you were weak and waited for others to avenge you, then you deserved to be bullied. Yun Jian's main purpose for coming here was to make an oath. Since the martial art club was taken over by Yun Jian, then no one should think of touching the martial arts club because the martial arts club's backer was her. Just as the members of the martial arts club were feeling proud of Yun Jian's strength, Yun Jian, who was about to leave the Green Bull gang, suddenly stopped and turned around in front of everyone. When the Green Bull gang saw this, they thought that Yun Jian was going to make a move on them again. They were so scared that they almost found a corner to hide in. The members of the martial arts club were a little proud. Even Su Zhenglong and Wei Jingxian, who weren't members of the martial arts club, were infected by the atmosphere and felt a little proud. At this time, Yun Jian cast a sidelong glance at all the members of the martial arts club in front of everyone. She said with a cold face, not allowing anyone to refute her, "Tomorrow at 4:50 a.m., gather at the school field. From tomorrow onwards, everyone will receive training. I'll make it clear in advance that there are no useless people in the martial arts club. If you can't take it, then leave now. Hey." Chapter 2006. Yun Jian was very ruthless. She was ruthless to herself and to others. She would be ruthless when she should be ruthless and cripple when she should be crippled. She would not stay for a second longer than necessary. It was even more impossible for her to persuade those who wanted to leave to stay. Those who were willing would stay, and those who were unwilling would leave on their own. This was Yunjian's principle. Yunjian hated people who quit midway the most. If you wanted to do something, you had to do it from the beginning to the end. If you chose to leave midway, she would rather that the other party had never chosen to persist. The overall strength of the Wushu Club was too weak, and there were only a few powerful members. Therefore, when Wu Run and the others bullied Zhou Huntao, he would only end up in the hospital. Since the Wushu Club was now in her hands, she would never allow such a thing to happen. Therefore, Yunjian planned to train the members of the Wushu Club. Of course, Yunjian had already made it very clear that those who could not accept it would leave immediately. Do not cower midway. Those who cowered midway were more disgusting to Yunjian than those who quit from the beginning. When Mo Bufan heard Yunjian's words, he knew that Yunjian was going to help him improve the strength of the Wushu Club. Mo Bufan was delighted. Before the members of the Wushu Club could react, he shouted in front of everyone, "We pledge our lives to follow the new president." When Mo Bufan shouted, the members of the Wushu Club immediately reacted. "We pledge our lives to follow the new president. We pledge our lives to follow the new president." At this moment, the members of the Wushu Club shouted together with Mo Bufan. For a moment, the shouts resounded through the entire venue. After witnessing Yunjian's skills and seeing the arrogant and despotic Wu Ren cowering like a turtle, everyone present had a moment of desire. They also wanted to become stronger. None of the members of the Wushu Club retreated. Even the girls who joined the Wushu Club initially to get close to Mo Bufan now wanted to become stronger like Yunjian. Of course, the person standing here at this moment was not the senior who had a grudge with Yunjian at the entrance of the cafeteria, Kai Huiling. Kai Huiling had lost all her face. She had been on leave for a few days and hadn't come to school. Now, all the members of the martial arts club regarded Yunjian as their role model. Seeing this, Yunjian curled her lips slightly. She showed the side of her beautiful body to the crowd, and her lips curled up again. She left behind a sentence that shocked everyone present. "See you tomorrow at 4:50 a.m. on the sports field." After saying that, Yunjian turned sideways and left first. Even after Yunjian left, Su Zhenglong, who was deeply attracted to Yunjian, still looked at the place where Yunjian disappeared in shock and sighed. "Oh my God." As expected of someone who had studied in a military academy in high school, he was 2F** King Awesome. This aura, don't be too strong. Su Jinglong's words were full of admiration. His words shocked everyone in the martial arts society, Wu Run, and the Green Bull gang. What? Did she go to military school in high school? For a girl like her to be able to enter a military school for boys, she's really amazing. No wonder he is so strong. Everyone was talking about it. However, at that time, the members of the Martial Arts Society and the Green Bull Gang did not know one thing. Not only did Yunjian study in a military school, she was also the top student in Min City's military school. Team Monarch, slashing God herself. Zhu Huili's morning class was also considered a morning class for the club, so she left early. Zhu Huili liked to draw, so she joined the art club before Yunjian joined the Martial Arts Society. Yunjian and Zhu Huili were in the same class, so they did not have any classes in the morning. There was a Chinese class in the afternoon. There were very few classes in the university. There were at most 2 classes a day, and the weekend was a break. A class was about 2 hours long, so they just had to get to the classroom before class started. For the Chinese class in the afternoon, some students skipped class and did not come. Yunjian and Zhu Huili came to class on time and ended class on time. The class started at 1:30 in the afternoon and ended at 3:30. Yunjian and Zhu Huili stood up and were about to return to their dormitory when they were stopped by their class monitor. Rather than being stopped, it was more accurate to say that the entire class was stopped by the class monitor. The class monitor in the university usually left everything to the class monitor and rarely came to the classroom. The number of times a student could see the class monitor in a semester could be counted on one hand. Students would usually look for the class monitor if they needed help. The class monitor of Yun Jian's freshman computer science class 13 was a tall and skinny boy with average looks. The boy held a statistics sheet in his hand. After calling out to the class, he announced his plan. I applied to borrow the school's gymnasium this morning. I'm planning to have a small freshman party tonight. We'll play games and get to know each other. Is that okay? Hey. That car was an expensive Lamborghini. I didn't see the man clearly, but I guess he's quite old. Because her clothes didn't match that sports car, I took a second look. That man seemed to be touching her in the car. Hey. Although Zhu Huili was chubby, she was still the first to stand up for Yun Jian and confront Emo Lianhua's sidekick angrily. Didn't you get separated from her at the gate? I saw it with my own eyes. She got into a Lamborghini sports car. The man in the car seems to be quite old. Emo Lianhua's lackey replied. In fact, she didn't see how the man driving the Lamborghini looked like or whether he was young. She only saw Yun Jian get into a Lamborghini sports car. Zhu Huili was an honest and down-to-earth person. She did get separated from Yun Jian at the gate. This was true. Therefore, after hearing what Emo Lianhua's sidekick said, Zhu Huili opened her mouth but couldn't say anything to refute. She didn't know what happened later. Emo Lianhua's sidekick immediately put on an expression that said, "You have nothing to say about this." Yun Jian didn't say anything from the beginning. Outstanding people always attracted the attention of countless people. Even if you sat still, people would come looking for you. Just as Mo Lianhua's sidekick was feeling complacent, Yun Jian, who was sitting in the distance, suddenly stood up. Before Song you could react from the sidekick's words, he saw that Yun Jian ignored them. She only greeted Zhu Huili and walked out. The fellowship party has started. Where are you going? Lu Zhenlin, the class monitor, didn't like gossip. He saw Yun Jian walking out and asked. Yun Jian only left one sentence for everyone. To pick up my 3 old friends. Hey. The leader of the intelligence team, Diane, gave Yun Jian a big hug when she saw Yun Jian coming over and spoke in fluent Chinese. Sister Jian, is there an emergency since you called us here? Yes. Yun Jian nodded and scanned their surroundings from the corner of her eye, looking at Diane and the other 2 girls. She looked at Diane and said, "It's not convenient here. See you tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon at Hungtong Old Street. Find a hotel to stay in first." Okay. Diane and the other 2 had never questioned Yun Jian's orders and simply followed them. After that, the 3 of them turned and left as if they had never been here. Yun Jian turned as well and returned to the gymnasium in no time. She had only gone to the school gate to meet Diane and the other 2. It was not appropriate for her to stay any longer, so Yun Jian returned to the gymnasium after setting the meeting place. Yun Jian was keeping a low profile this time. When she returned to the gymnasium, her classmates had already started playing games and were having a blast. Yun Jian went back to her corner discreetly, not planning to participate in the activities. She had more important things to do and more powerful enemies to deal with. She was different from this group of carefree students. However, before she could go back to her seat beside Zhu Huili, Pan Xian, who had said that Yun Jian had gotten into an old man's car, saw Yun Jian right away and started to stir up trouble in front of everyone. "Look, Yun Jian from our class is back. She said she was going to pick up 3 old friends, but I think she went to pick up 3 old clients. What's wrong? She's back so soon? Could it be that the 3 old customers you just want to pick up are all old men? How did they finish their business so quickly? TSK, you earn money fast. Hey." Chapter 2010. Pan Xian was the kind of person who would feel itchy even if she didn't pick a fight, especially when there was something to pick on. The limelight had already passed, but Pan Qian still wanted to make things difficult for her. Otherwise, Pan Qian would feel itchy in her heart. In addition, Pan Qian was Mo Lianhua's #1 follower. Yin Jian had attracted Song Yu's attention for a while, so Pan Qian had been unhappy. She felt that her Mo Lianhua was the prettiest in the class and was the best match for Song Yu. Yin Jian actually wanted to attract Song Yu's attention. Bah! She was the president of the martial arts club through some unknown means. Then she, Pan Qian, would ruin her reputation. Because Pan Qian had spread rumors about Yin Jian before, Yin Jian didn't say anything. Therefore, Pan Qian increasingly believed that Yin Jian was afraid of her and didn't dare to challenge her. So she became more arrogant. Her words were so unpleasant that everyone present frowned. Qian, how can you say that? Every profession is not easy. Everyone has their own difficulties. Even if she sells her body to make money, it's also a kind of ability. You can't insult her like this. Mo Lianhua pretended to be pitiful. She held Song Yu's hand and shrank towards him as she softly reprimanded Pan Qian. Those who didn't know would really think that Mo Lianhua was speaking up for Yin Jian. Sister Lianhua, you're still too kind. You don't know the dangers of society. A girl like her is very scheming. Pan Qian patted Mo Lianhua's hand and glared fiercely at Yin Jian in the distance. Wasn't she just a poor person who didn't dare to resist and had no power or influence? She could sell her body for money. Shameless to the extreme. However, just when Pan Qian proudly thought that Yin Jian wouldn't resist her, a faint female voice sounded coldly. You can say a few more times. This faint female voice was like the grim reaper from hell, causing everyone present to feel a chill run down their spines. Song Yu, Mo Lianhua, Pan Qian, Zhu Huili, and the class monitor Lu Jinlin, including all the freshmen of Computer Science Class 13 present, as well as the people from other classes and schools who came to join in the fun, felt their hearts tremble. When they reacted, they were surprised again. Yin Jian actually asked Pan Qian to say it a few more times. Is she crazy? Huh? You're not really stupid, are you? You actually want me to say it a few more times? Pan Qian was also dumbfounded. Then, she looked at Yin Jian with a look of disdain. Could it be that he had hit the nail on the head, and he had said it in front of all the students, so he couldn't accept it and started to talk nonsense? Song Yu had already stopped paying attention to Yin Jian. At this moment, when he heard Yin Jian's words that came out of nowhere, his attention was attracted again. She was really a mysterious girl. Of course, if Pan Qian hadn't mentioned that matter, Song Yu would have definitely abandoned Mo Lianhua and turned to pursue Yin Jian. It didn't matter to Song Yu whether Yin Jian was a virgin or not, because there were plenty of young men and women at her age who would steal the forbidden fruit. Most of the young men and women went there for fun. Song Yu himself had also slept with many girls. But when he heard Pan Qian say that Yin Jian might be a mistress kept by an old man, Song Yu despised it. He was a man, and he was also the campus hunk of Dongfang University. Naturally, it was impossible for him to walk together with a girl who was kept as a mistress. Of course, Song Yu originally thought that at worst, he would secretly sleep with Yin Jian a few times, and his girlfriend would be someone like Mo Lianhua, who could be taken out. That would be enough. As for Song Yu, he could dump his girlfriend at any time, so it was fine if she wasn't a virgin. But the woman who would spend the rest of his life with him in the future must be a virgin. This thought was shared by many young men. But please don't forget one thing. How fragrant do you think you are? Are you a fragrant bun? Secondhand goods, like you are really worthy of such a clean girl. Go take a piss and look at yourself. The soul turned to reality. Just when Pan Qian, Song Yu, Mo Lianhua, and everyone present thought that Yin Jian was stupid and began to talk nonsense. Yin Jian, who was sitting in a small corner, suddenly stood up in front of everyone. Pan Qian glanced over with contempt, only to see Yin Jian's hands hanging down. She grabbed the air with both hands. Two butterfly knives, shining with silver light under the fluorescent lights of the gymnasium, were held in her left and right hands, with the blades facing down. Just like the female assassins in the movies, Yin Jian grabbed the two butterfly knives. Her cold eyes darkened, and she slowly walked towards Pan Qian from the corner. Knife, knife, knife. Where did the knife in her hand come from? She actually hid a knife on her body. Everyone around was so scared that they screamed. An ordinary female student actually hid a knife on her body. But before everyone could react, Yunjian was already approaching Pan Qian. Under her cold face without a trace of warmth, a red arc moved, and she said coldly, "Because if you don't say it now, you will never have the chance to speak again in this life." Hey! Chapter 2011. Imagine a female university student participating in a social gathering organized by her class. Suddenly, two butterfly knives appeared in her hands out of nowhere. Moreover, her action of taking out the butterfly knives was like a female secret agent in a movie, appearing in her hands in an instant. This was such a shocking action. At least everyone present was shocked, and the cold words coming out of Yun Jian's mouth made everyone present change their expressions in shock. Did she mean to kill Pan Qian? You, what are you going to do? Am I not telling the truth? You can't take it. So you want to kill someone? Let me tell you, if you dare to come near me again, don't blame me for being rude. Pan Qian was so frightened by Yun Jian's action that she took a few steps back. In the gymnasium, the scene that had just calmed down was once again noisy. But this time, it was noisy because of the two butterfly knives in Yun Jian's hands. Yun Jian, there are so many people watching. Don't be too emotional. Qian definitely doesn't have any bad intentions. I told everyone not to talk about you. This is nothing. Even if you really did, it's nothing. Everyone, stop talking about her. You, help say something. It's nothing to make money with one's body. It's all based on one's own ability. You, help say something. Mo Lianhua saw Yun Jian walking towards Pan Qian with the butterfly knives. She couldn't help but panic. She was afraid that Yun Jian would accidentally hurt her with the knives. She quickly grabbed Song Yu's strong arm and hid behind him. Mo Lianhua insisted that Yun Jian made money with her body, which was the same as what Pan Qian said. At the beginning, Pan Qian and Mo Lianhua's words were enough to make the surrounding people misunderstand. If Yun Jian stood up to clear her name at the beginning, not only would she not be able to clear her name, but it would also become the result of her desperately trying to clear her name, but no one would listen to her. Therefore, Yun Jian was too lazy to explain from the beginning. As for now, Pan Qian's words meant to destroy her. It was not like at the beginning when she was just spreading rumors. If Yun Jian didn't do anything, she would be a coward. Mo Lianhua grabbed Song Yu's arm, and he tilted his head to look at Yun Jian. Although Mo Lianhua was good-looking, the closer Yun Jian got to him, the more Song Yu felt that Yun Jian looked exquisite. Such a beautiful girl. If she wasn't a mistress, he would definitely pursue her and make her his girlfriend. Unfortunately, she was only qualified to warm his bed now. Stop fooling around. It's time for your class's social gathering. You don't deserve the knife in your hand. The blade will hurt your hand, and it won't be good if you bleed. Be good, give me the knife. Song Yu followed Mo Lianhua and took 2 steps towards Yun Jian. He wanted to find an excuse to make Yun Jian obediently hand over the butterfly knife to him. At the same time, he could touch Yun Jian's tender hand. Wow, Campus Hunk Song is indeed the #1 campus hunk in Dongfang University. He's so gentle. I'm so jealous. If it were me, I would feel disgusted just by touching a woman who spreads her legs under a man. Exactly. The boys and girls in the gymnasium started chattering. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. She could see Mo Lianhua and Pan Qian looking at her with smug eyes. Yun Jian, look who's here. Just as everyone present thought so, and Mo Lianhua and Pan Qian were looking at Yun Jian with a scheming expression, a male voice came from outside the gymnasium. Everyone present looked towards the door. They saw Mo Bufan leading 6 figures that Yun Jian was familiar with through the door and walking toward her. When she saw the 6 people, Yun Jian's eyes narrowed even more. However, just as Mo Lianhua, Pan Qian, Song Yu, and everyone else present thought that Yun Jian was just putting on an act by holding the butterfly knife, and that she was just a woman who sold her body under a man. Mo Buffon led the 6 of them to Yunjian. His exclamation was heard in front of everyone. "You're the one who's going to die." "Good. Yunjian, you're not a good brother. You didn't tell us before. I bumped into them at the school gate just now. They said they were looking for you, so I brought them over. I only found out after chatting with them. At first, I thought you were just a high school student who went to military school. I didn't expect you to be the famous Advanced Special Forces soldier from 2 years ago, the killing god of Team Monarch. You were once known as the undefeated legend of the military. Hey." If Yunjian wanted to pursue the matter, then everyone at the scene, including freshman computer science class 13, as well as students from other classes or schools who came to join in the fun, were shocked. Pan Qian, who had been dealing with Yunjian, turned pale. "Why not? The other 6 members of Team Monarch are here. Listen to them yourselves." Mo Buffon took a step back and let the 6 of them stand in front of the crowd. "They're the other 6 members of Team Monarch." Everyone was stunned when Mo Buffon finished his words. The 7 members of Team Monarch were not superstars, but each of them had outstanding skills. They were more like superstars now, and their names were known throughout the country. Slashing God had been missing for 2 years. The other 6 members of Team Monarch did not work for nothing. They had set countless records in the past 2 years, pushing Team Monarch's name to the highest point. They used their actions to tell everyone that although they were not as capable as Yunjian, they would not be a burden to Yunjian. "You're all here." Yunjian narrowed her eyes at Chu Ning and the other 5 who had matured a lot. Her words were simple, just like before. "Yes, we heard that you're back," Captain Liu Shiyun said, controlling his emotions. With that, Liu Shiyun took out a medal with the words "Slashing God" engraved on it from his pants pocket and tossed it to Yunjian. He suppressed his excitement, and his firm words echoed throughout the place. Everyone was stunned, as if they had seen Team Monarch's past achievements. "This is a medal that we earned through our own efforts. It's engraved with each of our code names, symbolizing the 7 of us. I've been keeping it for you, and now I'm returning it to you. Yunjian, we've waited for you for 2 years. You're an invincible legend. You're a god in our hearts. Today, as the captain of Team Monarch, I formally invite you, Slashing God 006, to return to Team Monarch." Hey. Chapter 2013. Yunjian was never someone who would not talk back after being insulted. Thus, after Hong Junhua finished speaking, Yunjian immediately followed up. Yunjian's nonchalance was tinged with a sense of dread. Hong Junhua was stunned. Chun Alan and Hong Taishan were also stunned. "What do you mean by that? After cursing your own mother, you're now cursing my daughter?" Chun Alan was eager to protect her daughter. When she heard Yunjian's words, she was furious and immediately slammed the table and stood up. Chun Alan was a typical village girl. Even after marrying Hong Taishan, who later became rich, she still had the poverty in her bones. When the people around heard this, an old woman who used to know the deceased, Lu Lanhua, quickly stood up and said to Chinalan, Hey, what are you doing?" Yelling and screaming before Lu Lanhua is buried. "You're the unfortunate one. Umaba, let the bad ones go. Good luck is coming, good luck is coming." The old woman was obviously very superstitious. She clasped her hands together and prayed left and right as she mumbled something. After hearing the old woman's words, Chunalan was still angry. She turned to look at Yunjian and glared at Yunjian. She said to Qin Yiru angrily, "Daughters are meant to be daughters. Daughters are meant to be taken care of. Your daughter speaks rudely. When she goes out into society in the future, she will suffer a great loss. Those who don't know better will think that your daughter has no parents to raise her." Chunalan was the type of rich madam who fussed over every little thing. There was a shrewish streak in her bones that couldn't be reasoned with. Whenever someone said something she didn't like, she would scold them every time she looked at them. She was a typical commoner. Normally, after saying this, most people would stop talking and not say anything more. At most, they would just turn their heads and ignore each other. However, after Chunalan said this, she didn't care. She was already in her 40s, but she looked like she was going to rain dog blood on Yunjian, who had just turned 18. You're scolding my daughter? You're scolding my daughter. Scold my daughter if you have the ability. What the hell was that? Did he think that he was powerful? Hee. At Lu Lanhua's funeral, Yunjian did not want to cause any more trouble. At least, she wanted to save some face for Qin Yuru. Therefore, when Hong Junhua and Chunalan said a few words earlier, she did not directly attack them. She had already given them enough face. Moreover, Yunjian was not a person who could endure silently. She was being bullied like this. If she did not retaliate, then sorry, she cannot do it. Elan, what's going on? A middle-aged woman walked out of the house. She was obviously a close relative of Chun Ilan's family. When she heard Chun Ilan's words, she quickly walked over and asked. This middle-aged woman was called Chen Yumei. She was the wife of Chun Ilan's younger brother. Many relatives and friends knew that Chun Ilan's family was well off. Chen Yumei wanted to curry favor with Chun Ilan, so she would often flatter Chun Ilan whenever she had the chance. As a matter of fact, Chun Ilan's scolding stopped after Chun Yumei asked her a question. Then, she continued scolding. This woman is scolding my daughter. She's scolding my daughter to death. Hee. What the hell? Hee. She's even scolding my daughter. Chun Ilan seemed to be angry, but had nothing to say. She kept repeating those words. However, just as Chun Ilan was scolding and shaking her body, Yunjian suddenly interrupted Chun Ilan's scolding. If you move again, you can die. Everyone was stunned when she said that. Then, Yunjian reached out and grabbed the empty bowl in front of her. Without even looking up, she threw the empty bowl toward Chun Ilan. That bowl flew toward Chun Ilan's neck under everyone's gaze. When Chun Ilan sensed it, she froze. At the same time, she clearly felt the bowl fly past her neck by 0.1 millimeters. Ping pang. The bowl broke into pieces. Everyone looked in that direction. However, after the bowl fell to the ground, one of the broken pieces of the bowl flew up and directly pierced the fatal spot of a mouse that was moving so fast that it was impossible for people to catch it. The bowl slices pierced into the rat's body right in front of everyone's eyes, penetrating deep into the wood and killing the rat on the spot. When Chun Ilan saw the bowl fly past, she also turned her head to look. When she saw the shrapnel flying into the rat's fatal spot and penetrating deep into its body to kill it, she paled in fright when she heard what Yunjian said just now. Everyone around was stunned. However, at this moment, Yunjian stood up in front of everyone. Her expression changed slightly as she walked toward the rat that had died on the spot. The words that came out of her mouth made Chun Ilan and everyone else's faces change again. I told you not to move in front of me. So die. Hey. This kind of man was rich. Most of his money came from his family. Since he was young, he had raised himself to be fair and plump. He was so fat that one could not bear to look at him directly, and he especially liked to steal women. At the thought of this, Pan Xian felt that her envy towards Yun Jian's rich boyfriend had lessened by a lot. She wanted to find a handsome and rich man in the future. Qian, how many times have I told you? Why are you always like this? You can't curse people like that. It's immoral. Mo Yinhua saw that Yun Jian had left and returned to her innocent self. As she said that, Mo Yinhua leaned on Song Yu. Don't you think so? Lianhua, you're still so kind. Song Yu pulled Mo Lianhua into his arms, but his eyes were looking in the direction where Yun Jian had left. He was in a daze for a long time. So she's not a mistress. So she's the killing god of Team Monarch that so many people admire. Only a girl like that is worthy of a person of noble status like me. Yun Jian. Song Yu kept repeating that name in his heart. I'm looking forward to our next meeting. Hey. All right, isn't Yun Jian back already? Chopsticks are for eating, not for knocking. If you knock like this, all the bacteria that you can't see will go into the bowl. Give me the chopsticks. Compared to 2 years ago, Chu Xiangnan was much calmer. He snatched the chopsticks from Chu Ning's hand and gave her a few instructions. It's none of your business. Chu Ning pursed her lips, looking like she did not mean what she said. These two are dating. Yin Jian, don't bother about them. Right? How have you been these 2 years? Jiang Weiwei interrupted Chu Ning and Chu Xiangnan's conversation and asked Yin Jian. Hearing that Chu Ning and Chu Xiangnan were dating, Yin Jian smiled but was not too surprised. After all, she could tell 2 years ago that Chu Ning and Chu Xiangnan were quite compatible. On second thought, however, Jiang Weiwei was asking about her recent situation in the past 2 years. She had been staying in the celestial spring with C.E. for the past 2 years, 666 days, not a day less. Similarly, during the 666 days in the celestial spring, C.E. had not missed a single day of the embarrassing things he did to her. Once she thought about the 666 days and nights she spent in the holy spring, her cheeks flushed and the tips of her ears burned. She tried her best to look calm as she answered, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I've been living well these 2 years. Hey. Chapter 2016. My Yin Jian is amazing. How can she not be doing well? But Yin Jian, why is your face so red? Are you having a fever? Chu Ning asked when she caught a glimpse of the redness on both sides of Yin Jian's cheeks. Just like 2 years ago, Yin Jian's hair was tied up in a high ponytail and she was in high spirits. Since her rebirth, Yin Jian's ponytail had never been cut short. Yin Jian liked this style too. Her hair, falling down, affected her peripheral vision and alerted her surroundings. Her high ponytail tied her hair up high and her long hair flowed freely, giving her a relaxed and joyful feeling. However, there was one downside. Once her face flushed, there was no loose hair to cover the redness. Even her ears were exposed and her expression could be seen clearly. It's normal for a young lady to react this way. The stove at my house that cooks handmade noodles gives off a lot of heat. We're usually flushed when we come out of the kitchen. It's probably affected outside too. The restaurant owner came over with 2 bowls of piping hot pickled vegetables and shredded pork noodles that had just come out of the pot. He explained after hearing Chu Ning's words. As he spoke, he placed the 2 bowls of noodles on the table. These 2 bowls are pickled vegetables and shredded pork noodles. There are 5 bowls of other noodles. I'll serve all of you right away. The restaurant owner smiled and went to the kitchen as he spoke. With that, Yin Jian successfully concealed the truth of her blush. Oh, I see. Chu Ning nodded, looking like a great detective. The 7 people's noodles were served one after another. It was an ordinary supper, but everyone was having a great time eating it. Along the way, he also talked about the scene when the 7 of them first met each other, as if it was only yesterday and still vivid in their minds. Yin Jian, I still remember when you first came in. I kept picking on you and even made things difficult for you. You're so generous. If it were other girls, they'd probably be my nemesis for life. Jiang Weiwei could not help feeling guilty when she mentioned how she had picked on Yin Jian back then. You still know that you're bad. I thought you didn't know. At that time, I really wanted to ignore you for the rest of my life. You're so arrogant. Chu Ning was filled with anger whenever she mentioned Jiang Weiwei. Why are you still talking to me then? Xiaoning, Jiang Weiwei pinched Chu Ning's cheeks and burst into laughter. Anyway, it's good that everyone is doing well, Fang Xiaoran, who is usually quiet, said with a smile. That's right. Vice Captain Hong Fan nodded. The 7 members of Team Monarch had been through a lot to get to where they were today. Their future was not over yet. The starting point of a king has just begun. After eating supper and walking around for a while, Chu Ning and the others found a hotel to stay in and return home the next day. Although Chu Ning and the others were disappointed that Yin Jian did not plan to continue studying in the military academy, they still respected Yin Jian's choice. At the same time, Chu Ning and the others also invited Yin Jian to visit their university's military academy when she was free. The military academy in the university was completely different from the Min City Military Academy in high school. Yun Jian agreed. Chu Ning and the others rushed back to school early the next morning. Of course, they were faced with the punishment for skipping class. Yun Jian arrived at Hungtong Old Street at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on time to meet Diane and the other two. However, before Diane and the other two could see her, Yun Jian saw a few figures that she did not want to see. Hungtong Old Street was near the university town and was a popular place for couples and friends of the opposite sex to meet. Besides, the environment was good and there were green trees all around. Hungtong Old Street, as the name suggested, was an ancient street. Walking on Hungtong Old Street made one feel as if they had returned to the old streets when they were young. Some of the old streets were built in the 30s and 40s of the last century and had a very antique vibe. There was a constant stream of people coming and going in the food street of the old street every day. Of course, the place where Yun Jian met Diane and the other two was not in a crowded place. Instead, it was in a small pond pavilion on Hungtong Old Street. However, to get to the almost empty pond pavilion, one had to pass through the bustling old street. As a matter of fact, Yun Jian saw 3 people that she did not want to see: Song Yu, Mo Lianhua, and Pan Xian. Look at the 3 of them. They came together as a group of young men and women. The group of young men and women were generally good-looking and beautiful. They must have come out to shop during the day. Chapter 2017. With just one look, she could tell that the car's specifications were low, and she even listed out all the specifications of the car, just like the salesperson who sold the car. Everyone around them was stunned. Even Chun Ilan's sister-in-law, Chun Yumei, widened her eyes in shock. It was obvious that she was shocked. "Hey, whose daughter is this little girl? You really do sound like you know how to do it." A woman sitting at another table couldn't help but mutter as she held a baby with a pacifier. "That's right. The last time my family went to a car dealership, we were thinking of buying a car to go home." This little girl's words matched the salesperson's words. Just the numbers of the car's speed and horsepower are different. She's really professional. A middle-aged man with a crew cut stroked his bald head, which only had a little black hair left, and joked with a laugh. Then, everyone around them praised her. After everyone recovered from their shock, they began to discuss who Yun Jian's daughter was. After all, they were all distant relatives and usually wouldn't meet. Some of the younger generation would only gather together when something big happened when they were in their teens. However, under normal circumstances, when something big happened, everyone would sit around the table and have a meal. Most of the time, they would chat with their close relatives. Usually, at this time, you could only see the faces of your distant relatives. Some of them might be familiar, but you wouldn't know which one of your distant relatives she was or what the relationship between them was like. But for someone like Yun Jian, who stood out a little and had nothing to do, the relatives who were chatting casually would turn their attention to her. Therefore, after the 2 people finished talking, the group of people around them started to ask about Yun Jian. "Which family's daughter is this?" Listening to what she said, "She's quite capable. She'll definitely have a bright future." Someone asked. "This is the daughter of Yun Gang and his ex-wife," someone answered. "The little girl is so eloquent at such a young age. She'll be very eloquent in the future." Although these people were praising Yun Jian, no one took Yun Jian seriously at that time. They were just talking about Yun Jian to pass the time. As for Yun Jian's words, "I'll never drive a sports car that costs less than 10 million yuan," no one took it to heart. Some of the people present took these words to heart, but they didn't take it seriously. This person was Chunalan. No one was more shocked than Chunalan when she heard what Yun Jian said just now. It was because what Yun Jian said was exactly the same as the car specifications and configuration that the salesperson had listed when her family went to the car shop to buy a car. Even the numbers were exactly the same. Therefore, when she heard Yun Jian's words, Chun Ilan's eyelids twitched fiercely. After being stunned, Chun Ilan was unconvinced. Yun Jian said, "I'll never drive a sports car that costs less than 10 million yuan. You don't drive a sports car that costs less than 10 million yuan? What do you drive? Tricycle? A tractor? Are you trying to use a tricycle and tractor to see who's faster than my sports car?" Chun Elon blocked Yun Jian directly, stopping Yun Jian, who was about to leave, from moving forward. She stood where she was, refusing to give way. Yun Jian was going to retrieve her car and return to Longmin City to complete what Qin Yiru had asked her to do, but Chun Elon blocked her way. Move! Yun Jian's indifferent voice rang with a sense of dread that made one's heart clench tightly. Chun Elon was not afraid. However, she stood in Yun Jian's way. You scolded my daughter just now, saying that our car specifications are low. How can you be like this? You even asked me to move aside, huh? Move aside? Apologize to me first before you leave. Huh? I've never met someone like you, learning to scold people at such a young age. Just as she said that, Yun Jian extended her right leg and kicked Chun Elon to the ground, rolling away from the spot in front of her. After that, she walked forward with her hands in her pockets, as if nothing had happened, leaving a simple and indifferent remark. Childish and boring. Eh? Chapter 2018. With that, Yun Jian had already walked far away. However, Chun Elon was never one to be trifled with. After she stood up after being kicked to the ground by Yun Jian, although she felt a slight pain, this slight pain was like a great humiliation in Chun Elon's eyes. Earlier, when Yun Jian used words to refute Chun Elon's daughter, Hong Junhua, Chun Elon exaggerated it and repeated it over 100 times, as if she was afraid that others did not know about Yun Jian's evil deeds. Now that she stood up after being kicked, Chun Elon felt even more humiliated. Her husband, Hong Taishan, had started a plastic processing factory a few years ago and made a fortune. After the family moved to a big city, which of these relatives and friends did not follow her family's lead? Just like her sister-in-law, Chun Yu Mei, they flattered Chun Elon to a whole new level. This almost made Chun Elon feel that these damned relatives from the countryside could only be the green leaves of a fresh flower like her. Therefore, when she first returned to Xinjiang town, Chun Elon felt like she had returned to her hometown in glory. However, who would have thought that she would be stuck with Yun Jian and Qin Yiru? Chun Elon, who had climbed up pathetically from the ground, was about to rush in the direction Yun Jian had left. A slender hand grabbed Chun Elon's wrist. Chun Elon could not move and also stopped chasing after Yun Jian like a crazy woman. However, she saw her brother, Yun Yi, standing beside Chun Elon. His hand was strong as he used his slender hand to grab Chun Elon's wrist. The strength of his grip caused Chun Elon's face to turn red from the pain. Then, Yun Yi's cold gaze swept across her. The voice that came from his throat made Chun Elon tremble violently. If you dare to spout nonsense to my sister again, I'll cripple you. Yun Yi's words, coupled with his tall and slender figure, frightened Chun Elon so much that her legs gave out. She really didn't have the courage to chase after him and pick a fight with Yun Jian. At the same time, Yun Jian was already driving her red Ferrari on the road from Xinjiang town to Longmin City at high speed. When she came to Longmin City, she bought about a dozen bass and had the fish seller tie them in plastic bags before driving back to Xinjiang town. On the way, Yun Jian took a detour back to Xinjiang town and brought Qin Yu along with her when she went to her house. Her brother, Yun Yi, was currently grieving. Yun Jian brought Qin Yu back with her just to keep her company by Yun Yi's side. Even if Qin Yu stayed by Yun Yi's side and did not say anything, it was enough to soothe Yun Yi's anguish. Chun Elon did not understand Yun Yi's feelings, just like how Yun Yi did not understand her lamenting about the past. Being stopped by Yun Yi, Chun Elon could feel Yun Yi's murderous gaze. Perhaps it was because Yun Yi was a guy, but in front of a typical woman like Chun Elon who thought that guys were better than girls, she felt that guys were bolder. Therefore, Chun Elon dared not pursue Yun Jian for revenge. However, she was displeased, and it was impossible for Chun Elon to not find fault with Yun Jian because of this. Yun Yi could control her actions, but she could not control her mouth. Therefore, Chun Elon described Yun Jian as shameless in front of the group of women and old ladies. Oh my, I've never seen such a shameless girl. She's a student, but she's living like a socialite. She's just like those girls in nightclubs who have no self-respect and self-respect. Qianalan was spreading rumors about Yun Jian in front of the group. She even waved her hand as she spoke, as if Yun Jian was really such a person. One must know that unmarried girls in the countryside valued their reputation the most. What Qianalan said was equivalent to trampling on Yun Jian's reputation. Perhaps it was because Qianalan's family was rich, the people around them listened to her without a doubt. Even when Qin Yuru interrupted to say, "My Xiao Jian isn't such a person," no one paid any attention to her. That kind of girl. Not only does she go to bars and nightclubs, she likes to brag too. Didn't she say that she never drives a cheap sports car that's less than 10 million? Does she? She doesn't. Screech. While Qianalan was speaking, a fiery red Ferrari flagship limited edition supercar drifted at a high speed, braked not far from the crowd, and stopped. The car door opened, and a girl who was dressed neatly got out of the driver's seat. She was so beautiful that no one could take their eyes off her. The girl's appearance halted Chun Ilan's words. Hey! Chapter 2019. According to past practice, if anyone dared to be presumptuous in front of Yun Jian, they would end up dead. Diani's tone was as flat as, "Have you eaten today?" But it sent shivers down Pan Qian, Imo Lianhua, Song Yu, and the other spines. Gun? Is this a real gun or a fake gun? Pan Qian was stuttering, shaking violently. She was obviously spooked by Diani's action of taking out a gun. This must be a F*King fake gun. I've seen a real gun before. It's really heavy. This foreign woman is scaring you. Say, Qian, how do you know this beauty? Aren't you going to introduce her? The boy who asked Pan Qian if she knew Yun Jian spoke confidently, even sizing up Yun Jian as he spoke. To attract Yun Jian's attention, the boy flipped his short hair. At the same time, Diana maintained her posture of pointing her gun at Pan Qian. She was waiting for Yun Jian's reply. As soon as Yun Jian gave the order, she would shoot Pan Qian dead. Once they heard the boy say that Diani was holding a fake gun, the group snapped out of their fear. Pan Qian was no longer afraid as well. She reached out to slap away the gun that Diani was pointing at her head, but the latter dodged it nimbly. So fast. One of the boys could not help exclaiming when he saw Diani's nimble dodge. Kids, let me give you a piece of advice. Get out of Sister Jian's sight right now, or don't blame us for taking your lives. Gue Lian spat coldly after a glance at Yun Jian before turning to meet Pan Qian and the other's eyes. Take our lives? Do you dare? If we die, you'll be in jail for the rest of your lives too. Pan Qian refuted loudly when she heard Gue Lian. After that, Pan Qian studied Yun Jian from left to right before she spoke again. You're right. Yun Jian, I don't know where you found this actor. His acting sucks. If you really want to be a gang leader and mingle in the underworld so much, then why don't you become the gang leader's woman? Since you already have a rich boyfriend, it doesn't matter if you hook up with another one. But that's definitely a disgrace to Team Monarch's Killing God title. Did your rich boyfriend buy you the title of Team Monarch's Slashing God too? God knows if you're really that powerful. I think you'll be scared half to death when you see blood in an official gangster scene. Pan Qian glared at Yun Jian and continued to clamor. However, just as Pan Qian said this, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. Seeing that there was no one around, she crossed her arms and coldly ordered Diana, "Listen up. Deal with it. Remember not to leave any traces behind. I still have to stay in Rivertown for a while." The 3 words dealt with were so flat that one couldn't feel the slightest rise or fall in it. However, this caused Pan Qian and the others to panic for no reason. Why you guys, don't get too immersed in the act. Let me tell you, Pan Qian stuttered as she pointed at Yun Jian and the other 3. However, before Pan Qian could finish her sentence, they heard the soft sound of a bullet being fired from the silenced pistol in Diana's hand. It was only then that Pan Qian and the others realized. This is a real gun. It's a real gun. Song Yu, Imo Lianhua, and all the young men and women present were so shocked that their expressions changed. Just as everyone exclaimed and thought that Pan Qian's head was going to explode, Yun Jian's deep and sharp eyes suddenly flashed. She turned sideways and used her elbow to block Diana's hand that was holding the gun, causing the bullet to deviate from the trajectory that should have exploded Pan Qian's head. Pan Qian knelt on the ground in shock. However, just as everyone thought that Yun Jian saved Pan Qian on purpose because she was afraid of seeing a bloody scene, they saw Yun Jian snatch the silenced pistol from Diana's hand at 0.1 seconds. TSK, TSK, TSK. 3 soft sounds of the silenced pistol, including the shot that should have killed Pan Qian. There were a total of 4 shots. They accurately hit the 4 people who were hiding in the bushes and eavesdropping about 50 meters away. The 4 people were killed on the spot in front of Song Yu, Emo Lianhua, Pan Qian, and the others. Song Yu, Pan Qian, and the others widened their eyes in horror. She really dared to. She really dared to kill. However, before Song Yu and the others could scream, Yun Jian's voice, which was as cold as ice in winter, commanded Diana and the other 2 in a voice that was as cold as hell. Her voice was neither happy nor worried, and it was extremely cruel. It's the people from Reverse Emperor. Chase after them and leave no one alive. Hey. Chapter 2020. Qianlong knew nothing about cars. She had only seen a sports car that was similar to the one Yun Jian was driving at a car rental shop. Sports cars all looked the same, so the price wouldn't be that expensive. Qianlong thought so. Therefore, it was natural for him to think so. Car rental shops existed in every city. That kind of shop usually put the old cars in the shop for people to rent. For example, if you didn't have a car at home and needed a car today, you didn't need to buy a car to go home. At this time, you could just go to the car rental shop and rent a car to go home. The rental fee was also calculated by the daily fee. For example, if the rental car was an expensive sports car, the fee would naturally be higher than the car rental. If it was an ordinary car in 2002, it would only cost 80 to 90 yuan a day. Yun Jian's words just now caused an uproar in the hearts of the people present. Ferrari LaFerrari's flagship limited edition sports car. Most of the people present were from the countryside, so they didn't know much about it. But Yun Jian said that there were only 3 cars in the world, and the lowest price was 50 million yuan. Everyone present heard it clearly. You only sold 3 cars in the world. This came from a slightly knowledgeable middle-aged man. 50 million. An old woman heard this, rolled her eyes, and stammered. She was so scared that her whole body trembled for a long time, and she didn't react for a long time. 50 million. Not to mention 50 million. Even if it was 500,000 yuan, it was still an absolutely shocking and astonishing astronomical number. As for Qianlong, when she heard Yun Jian's words, she had already rolled her eyes. Her whole body was muddled, and it was obvious that she was scared badly. This car was worth 50 million yuan? To be honest, Qianlong really didn't know much about cars. She was also a woman from the countryside, and was lucky enough to meet her husband, Hong Taishan, who was originally from the city. When Qianlong and Hong Taishan got married, it was considered that she married into a higher social class. Who in her village didn't envy her? Later, Hong Taishan set up a plastic processing factory and made some money back. He took a risk and expanded his investment in the plastic processing factory. There were dangers, but in the end, he made back all his capital. After making a fortune, the whole family moved to the big city to live. Qianlong also lived the life of a rich lady that others envied. However, if Qianlong followed him to live in the big city, she would be purely a housewife who knew nothing. When she said that Yun Jian's car was similar to the sports car she had seen before, Qianlong felt guilty. Because the sports car she saw was similar to Yun Jian's car, but it was much inferior to Yun Jian's car in terms of appearance. Now that she heard Yun Jian's words, Qianlong instantly felt like she had shot herself in the foot. Her expression changed drastically, and she looked so embarrassed that she couldn't bear to look straight at her. I've never seen a 50 million supercar before. Who knows if you're bragging or not? Qianlong said sourly. I didn't buy this car for 50 million. 50 million is the lowest price. I bought it at an auction for 300 million renminbi. Yin Jian said bluntly after Chun Ilan finished speaking with a cold smile. Since Chun Ilan wanted to compete, then she would play with her. It was a reward for Chun Ilan slandering her in front of those women. Unsurprisingly, Chun Ilan's face turned even paler after hearing this. However, it wasn't over yet. When Chun Ilan's face turned pale, Chun Ilan's husband, Hong Tai-shan, lowered his eyes and suddenly recalled what his brother said. This is indeed a Ferrari LaFerrari's flagship limited edition supercar. But isn't this one of the 3 supercars that were sold at sky-high prices at the largest international auction house a few years ago? I heard that one of the 3 supercars was bought by a top international business tycoon. The other one was bought by the 3rd richest person in the world. There's still one more. As he spoke, Hong Tai-shan turned to look at Yin Jian in disbelief. He swallowed hard and exclaimed in front of everyone, "Yin Jian, you're the one who's going to die." The first 2 were bought by men. I heard from someone who knows the business that the last supercar was bought by one of the top figures on the International Secret Service assassin list. So, could it be that you are a... Chapter 2021. Could it be that you are one of the figures on the International Assassin ranking list? Because the first 2 were men, their identities, appearances, and ages were all public. Everyone knew their background. Only the figure on the International Assassin ranking list is extremely mysterious. Rumor has it that the Ferrari LaFerrari sports car that the man bought was already reserved. When the first and second Ferrari LaFerrari were put up for auction, the highest bid was $500 million. But only the 3rd Ferrari LaFerrari was bid at $300 million, because no one dared to challenge the figure on the International Assassin ranking list. Otherwise, they wouldn't even know how they died. In that case, you are... Hong Tai-shan looked at Yin Jian with a panicked and helpless expression in front of everyone. His face suddenly changed, as if he had seen the Grim Reaper. He was so scared that his face turned pale, and his lips and teeth trembled. International Assassin ranking list? What's that? Yeah, Tai-shan. What's that? We have never heard of it. The surrounding old women all blinked when they heard Hong Tai-shan's words, indicating that they didn't understand. That was not strange. For these old women and women who lived in the countryside, their favorite thing to do was to gossip about other people's business. But most of the gossip was about who had an affair, whose child was admitted to a key high school, and whose child was so powerful, or whose child was admitted to a university, but after coming out to work, there was no place for him to work. In the end, he could only do odd jobs. How pitiful. Some were complaining, some were gloating, and some were sympathetic. But these gossipy women were talking about nothing more than trivial things. Occasionally, when something big happened, such as a daughter or son in the village who died in an accident, they would talk about it as if the sky was falling down. Some would even gloat and say, "Serves you right. You make a lot of money, but you don't have a life to enjoy it." However, the gossipy women in the countryside were talking about these trivial and insignificant things. Usually, these trivial things were not worth mentioning. As for the International Secret Service assassin rankings, there was no internet or smartphone in this era, so the gossipy women had no place to learn about it. Naturally, they didn't know anything about it. When Hong Tai-shan heard this, he glanced at Yin Jian and said with some fear, "Agents and assassins are people who specialize in killing people. They are similar to the assassins in ancient times. It was the ranking of the most terrifying Secret Service assassins. Those who are ranked at the top have killed the most people and are more powerful. Some of them would even walk right past you, and you wouldn't even know when they killed you. It was a killing machine specially trained by some assassin organization. It was terrifying. Don't rich big shots often die suddenly in the world? Many of them didn't die of their own accord. They were assassinated." Every word that Hong Tai-shan said was explained to the people around him in great detail. It could be seen that Hong Tai-shan was a very meticulous person, not to mention that Hong Tai-shan also liked to show off. Just by looking at Hong Tai-shan's meticulous manner, it was not surprising that he could develop a small plastic processing factory to its current state and become the key to his family's fortune. When the old women and women around them heard Hong Taishan's words, they even nodded with an "oh," looking very frightened. Qianlan's expression changed again and again. She knew that her husband Hong Taishan would not speak carelessly. However, just as Qianlan's expression changed again and again, and the people around them were looking at the scene in front of them, obviously frightened, Yunjian's words suddenly came faintly. This group of people who were listening to a ghost story suddenly saw a person pretending to be a ghost. Similarly, their hearts were fiercely touched. Have you said enough? Chapter 2022. As soon as Zhou Huntao finished his words of admiration, a boy from the martial arts club punched Zhou Huntao and said with a chuckle, "Keep bragging. Your bragging won't get you. The chairman of New Cruise is so mysterious. He's a mythical figure that even world-class bigwigs want to meet. How could he possibly meet someone as ordinary as you? I heard that New Cruise rose to prominence in the past 3 years. I heard that it only took them a year to become the biggest car marketing company in Country Z. Then, it took them another 2 years to step onto the international stage. Now they're a household name. Look, they're even on TV. But the chairman of New Cruise is really mysterious. It seems like the chairman of New Cruise, Zhang Jifan, has been managing the company for the past few years. Whether it's the TV footage or the photos of the chairman of New Cruise, countless private investigators have tried to find out, but to no avail. I really want to see the real face of the chairman of New Cruise." As he spoke, the boy began to sigh. To them, although they felt that they would never be able to meet the chairman of New Cruise in their lifetime, they still wanted to know what the chairman of New Cruise looked like, be it height, or weight. As they entered the year 2000, color TVs and cars were becoming more and more common. In this era, Country Z's economy was rising at a speed faster than a rocket. The people's standard of living had also undergone a drastic change to the point where foreigners were amazed. Therefore, it was not surprising that there were color TVs at this time. We want to see it too. That's right. I wonder when we can see the real face of the chairman of New Cruise. I'm so *king excited. The members of the martial arts club woke up early for their morning practice. As long as there were no classes in the morning or afternoon, they would obediently head to the club's training ground to train. After a month, everyone's collective strength had improved by quite a bit. Everyone's admiration for Yunjian grew as well. At the same time, everyone was surrounding Yunjian as they walked back to school. No one noticed the slight glint in Yunjian's eyes when New Cruise was mentioned. On the way back to the dormitory, Yunjian parted ways with the members of the martial arts club. Unexpectedly, just as she reached the dormitory, Yunjian bumped into Gunyinji, who had come to Jiangsheng to play with Yunjian. "Ah, Yunjian and Qingyu have been abducted. I'm the only one left. How pitiful." Gunyinji rushed up and hugged Yunjian, pointing out that Qingyu had been abducted by Yun Yi in exasperation. Because her roommates were in the dormitory, Gunyinji didn't want to go up, so she dragged Yunjian to go shopping. She even criticized Qingyu for being unkind while they were shopping. As they strolled around, Gunyinji forgot about Qingyu's betrayal and dragged Yunjian to the store to pick out clothes for Yunjian to try. Gunyin picked a miniskirt for Yunjian once she thought about it. Seeing how excited Gunyinji was, Yunjian gave it a try. Just as she tried on the short skirt, Yunjian suddenly realized that she couldn't pull up the chain in this kind of waist-height skirt. In spite of it, Yunjian did not think too much about it. She had been eating well for the past month, feasting on meat and fish every day. It was normal for her to gain weight. Hence, Yunjian changed back in her own clothes and walked out of the fitting room. "Sister Jian, you're good. Why didn't you change into it? I think this dress suits you very well. You'll look beautiful in it." Gunyinji asked in confusion. "I can't wear it. It's too small." Yunjian passed the skirt to the attendant. "Huh? Too small? That's impossible. Sister Jian, you're so skinny. How can you not wear it?" Gunyinji came over to ask. As she spoke, Gunyinji took the skirt from the attendant and circled it around Yunjian's waist to try it out. Just as she did so, her hand touched Yunjian's stomach. She looked up abruptly, her eyes glinting as she asked in surprise. Really? Sister Jian, your stomach is much rounder now. It doesn't feel like it's extra fat. You're not pregnant, are you? Hey. Chapter 2023. Looking at the tombstone covering the grave and sealing it, Yun Jian felt a sense of desolation. She sighed for Lu Lanhua's life. Perhaps this was Lu Lanhua's life. She had spent her life protecting her children and grandchildren, favoring boys over girls. She had hoped that one day, her son or grandson would become rich and bring her away from Xinjiang town to enjoy life. She had lived in Xinjiang town since she was born and had placed all her hopes on her son. She had never thought that as a woman, she would have to rely on her own two hands to make a career for herself in this lawful society. This was Lu Lanhua's tragic life. Her failure was because she did not have her own opinions when she was young. Women should strive for self-improvement. A person could only succeed if they set their dreams and hopes as their life goal. If they did not even give themselves some hope and dreams, then what was the difference between their life and Lu Lanhua's? Or perhaps many people would feel this way. One day, when you heard the news of the death of someone you were so close to that you wanted to kill even in your dreams, you would be dazed for a moment. She was dead. Then there would be silence, as if something was missing from the bottom of your heart. This was the unfathomable human heart. Yun Jian did not feel this way. She had not spent much time with Lu Lanhua. To her, Lu Lanhua was just like those people she had killed, not worth mentioning. After sending Lu Lanhua up the mountain to be buried, the group returned to Lu Lanhua's house. Grandfather Yun Zhong was the same as Yun Gang. He had been hiding at home, unable to believe the truth. After all, they had spent most of their lives together. It was inevitable that they could not bear to see her leave just like that. Yun Jian had only seen grandfather Yun Zhong when she sent Lu Lanhua up the mountain to be buried. Unlike the energetic Yun Zhong in the beginning, grandfather Yun Zhong seemed to have aged a lot in an instant. After sending Lu Lanhua up the mountain to be buried, Yun Zhong and Yun Gang each hid in their own rooms in a daze. Qin Yuru had divorced Yun Gang after all, so it was not right for her to say anything. However, Qin Yuru was quite kind-hearted. She and a group of old ladies who came to help the Yun family clean up and prepare the dining table. They invited the relatives and friends who came to see Lu Lanhua off today to a big meal. Dinner was quickly prepared. Just as they were about to invite everyone to the table for dinner, a silver-gray supercar drove around the corner and stopped near Lu Lanhua and Yun Zhong's house. Coming. My cousin is here." A middle-aged man in his 40s, who had just come over for dinner, stood up excitedly and walked towards the silver-gray super sports car. Everyone saw a handsome man in his early 30s alighting from the silver-gray sports car. This man looked very mature and steady, and his appearance was completely different from the large group of beer-bellied middle-aged men present, who looked short and ugly because of their fat bodies. This car is the same as the daughter's Ferrari and the Lon family's Corpo. They're all sports cars, right? An old woman rubbed her hands and asked in a daze. A Ferrari is called a Ferrari, and a Camaro is called a pineapple. The old woman from the countryside was really good at translating languages. "Grandma, what Ferrari and Corpo?" "It's Ferrari and Corpo. 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 Corpo." The old woman's grandson laughed and nodded as he slowly explained. Okay. Ferrari, Corpo, they're all pretty much the same. I was wondering what was going on today. Why are all of them driving those sports cars? Could it be that the prices of those sports cars have dropped? This old woman has never seen so many high-class cars in her entire life. I've learned something new today. Hey. Chapter 2024. Of course, Song couldn't have come out to play by himself and bumped into Yun Jian. This time, Song had deliberately followed Yun Jian out, but he had hidden far away previously. Therefore, when Yun Jian and Gu Yinji were in the clothing store, Song didn't hear what Yun Jian and Gu Yinji said. Now, he saw that Yun Jian and Gu Yinji were actually walking towards the hospital. Could it be that Yun Jian was sick? With this thought in mind, Song Yu quickly ran over. When she saw Song Yu, Yun Jian's eyelids twitched and she held her forehead. This Song Yu is really like a lingering spirit. Let's go. I'll take you to eat something delicious. Yun Jian gestured to Gu Nianji with her eyes, then turned around and walked in the opposite direction of the hospital's main entrance. Hey, Yun Jian, I told you we weren't all right. What kind of delicious food are you taking me to eat? Gu Nianji originally wanted to say, aren't we going to check if you're pregnant? But just as the words were about to come out of her mouth, she heard Yun Jian say that she was going to treat her to something delicious. Gu Nianji rubbed her stomach and thought that she was hungry too. It was time to eat, so the words that were about to come out of her mouth stopped. Eating was more important. Eating was more important. Besides, even if Yun Jian was pregnant, she had to eat first. What if the baby in her stomach was starved? Gu Nianji rubbed her chin and felt that she was right. So she comforted herself and confidently led Yun Jian in the opposite direction of the hospital's main entrance. Yun Jian, are you feeling unwell? If you're not feeling well, I'll take you to the hospital. Let your friend eat by herself. Song Yu saw that this was a rare opportunity. If he offered to take Yun Jian to the hospital, then he would be able to show off in front of Yun Jian. Therefore, he wanted to walk towards Yun Jian and reach out to grab Yun Jian. After finding out that Yun Jian's background was clean and that Yun Jian was mysterious, Song Yu wanted to be with Yun Jian for a long time. If they got along well in the future, they would be able to rush down the aisle. Moreover, after witnessing Yun Jian's dark side, Song Yu felt that she was even more compatible with him, because his family was also in the underworld. Could this be the legendary Golden Boy and Jade Girl? At that time, Yun Jian, Song Yu's side was Gu Nianji, and Gu's right Gu Nianji's hand. Song Yu wanted to grab Yun Jian's hand, so he had to go around Gu Nianji. Gu's. Song's into the back, of course. Nianji, who had just turned into Yun hats, and turned into a corners into A's. Hiss. Song Yu sucked in a breath from the pain, but he could not show his ugly side in front of Yun Jian. Sorry, I didn't see you. Gu Nianji glared at Song Yu, emphasizing the word human. As she spoke, she grabbed Yun Jian and walked in the opposite direction of the hospital's entrance. What Gu Nianji meant was that she did not see Song Yu as a human. Song Yu understood what she meant and flushed with anger. However, he could not lash out in front of Yun Jian. Just as Song Yu was fuming but unable to lash out, Yun Jian's phone beeped. Yun Jian glanced at the screen. Sister Jian, what's wrong? Did Brother text you? Gu Nianji glanced at Song Yu and went to Yun Jian's side to ask loudly on purpose. No, Yun Jian replied softly and added after a pause. Let's go. My disciple is here for me. Huh? Zhang Xiaofeng's here in River City too? Haha. Why didn't he team up with me since he's here? To think that I'm his sister now. Gu Nianji spat. Song Yu, who stood on the side, had no idea who Yun Jian and Gu Nianji were talking about. He clenched his fists. Yun Jian's eyes were narrowed and red as she replied faintly, It's not him. It's my new disciple. Hey, that you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.